Welcome, everybody, to episode 53 of the ADV podcast. We're so happy you can join us today.
You guys like our crispy audio?
Stop.
Can you
Stop,
take
don't do
me
that.
higher?
He's trying to start an ASMR thing. No, stop. Okay, we've got a lot of important things to talk about as usual today. So
Yes.
welcome. We're going to jump right into it with What's New, where we talk about what's new in China or with regards to China. So let's get right into it. So what is new this
What
week?
is new is we got new mics.
Yeah, we did.
Do you guys enjoy it? I hope you do.
Yeah, we're trying to improve.
Good job.
Yeah,
Here's your participation ribbon.
We're just trying to improve for you guys.
I got sunburned yesterday, so everyone that's going to send me links about how I have like thyroid problems or something, save them. I'm okay. I just got sunburned. I was outside filming all day.
Okay, cool. Let's take a look at this interesting thing from Disney Plus. Now, why is this important, Seamilk?
I want to say congratulations and thank you from the both of us. I think I can speak for you.
Yep.
To Disney. We know that we gave a lot of shit to Disney in the past. I want to apologize because Disney, it looks like you've really cleaned your slate. You've really wiped the slate clean. Everything looks like it's on the trajectory of pro-human rights, anti-CCP, pro-Taiwan independence. Because on this advertisement for Disney Plus, I believe it was on Instagram, there's a little glimmer and a glimpse of a man holding a Taiwanese flag.
Yes.
And we know that despite all of this, we know that the CCP is going to give you tons of backlash, Disney. They're probably going to cancel you. They're going to ban you out of their markets and stuff. But despite that, you still held up the flag of Taiwanese independence.
CCP, take a look. Disney Plus supports Taiwan independence. Look, there's a Taiwanese flag in their advert.
Yeah.
It's great.
And also, look at this. It says, what's on Disney Plus? Also, they show a map of China with no Taiwan.
Yeah.
Also, a bold move. Brave. Thank you so much. Now, sarcasm aside... this is actually probably a mistake, and somebody
It's
at
a
Disney
huge
is going to
mistake.
get
They're gonna
massive trouble.
You know, this is the thing that annoys me. This has happened multiple times. Like, there was a person doing a presentation about something completely unrelated to China. I think it was in Dolce & Gabbana or one of those things, right? And they put up a map of China to show like where they're opening new branches. And because it didn't have the little island of Taiwan as part of the map, they got canceled. There was a huge thing like China was going to boycott their brand, all this kind of nonsense. It's getting to this really ridiculous point now that if you don't say exactly what China wants to hear, you know, you're going to get canceled, which is just stupid.
People have been canceled over less than this. So actually, it was just a massive oversight on their part. But I'm happy it happened because it'll make a little dialogue.
Taiwan is a legitimate place.
It's a real
we
country.
need to see more of Taiwan in the international spotlight, because Taiwan was there when China was not. Okay, they've seriously.
They were there for me. They got my back.
No, you know, if you think about it, the dark times of China, when mainland China was closed off and it was this just horrible sort of communist setup where people were starving and, you know, they were closed off. They didn't want to deal with the rest of the world. They were doing their
49 to 79.
Yeah, they're doing their nonsense. Even after that, during the 80s.
That's
and stuff
true.
Too. Before China opened up, Taiwan was there dealing with the rest of the world, okay? And we got fantastic things coming out of Taiwan. We got high-tech things. And I remember in South Africa, we had great ties with Taiwan. And I remember when the products started coming through from Taiwan, things like Asus, especially Asus is great for gaming. People all know about Asus. ViewSonic, HTC phones, all this coming out of Taiwan. Taiwan was there first. Everyone was dealing with Taiwan. But then when China opened up and said, come get our free, cheap labor, slave labor type stuff, everybody kind of pushed Taiwan aside and went with mainland China, which sucks because Taiwan is such a fantastic developed place. And I hate the fact that Taiwan was brushed aside like that. Why couldn't the world deal with both? And I'll tell you why they couldn't deal with both is because mainland China wouldn't allow it. And they forced this one China policy on the rest of the world to say, if you want a little bit of our market, if you want our cheap labor and all that nonsense, you got to basically ignore Taiwan and pretend Taiwan belongs to us, and you can't deal with Taiwan anymore. And that's what's happened all over the world, really.
Our buddy Saptarshi Sengupta sent us a super chat to say that no Arunachal Pradesh in that map either. So they also left out the disputed Indian territory.
Oh,
bold move, Disney.
Disney Plus.
Ooh, man.
All right, we got something else.
Yes, we do.
Let's move on. It's got to do with the Oscars.
Yes.
I always get annoyed. What's the difference between the Oscars and the Emmys? Is one about music, right? No, that's the Grammys.
Yeah, that's the Grammys.
What's the Emmys and the Oscars?
I think Emmys is daytime television or television in general. So you win an Emmy like if you like The Simpsons could win an Emmy. And then the Oscars. What's the difference? I have a question for you. What's the difference between the Oscars and the Academy Awards? Because that's what we're.
Whoop. Don't they both
That's what we're
have
talking
gold
about.
statues?
I mean, give me 2 seconds.
Okay. Sorry we were going on a tangent here, but it is kind of important in a way. Kind of.
We did our research about what we're talking about. It's just I honestly don't know the difference between the Academy Awards and the Oscars. Oh, I know. The Academy Awards is the celebration, like the event, and the Oscar is what you get. It's the award.
Oh, so
yeah. So we call
what?
it the Oscars. It's probably just slang.
Okay.
Right.
Now
so
we
the
know.
Academy Awards.
I hope you all learned something because we just have. Okay.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oscars are the Academy Awards. It's the name of the award. Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So there is this documentary. It's called Do Not Split.
Yep.
It's free.
It's free.
It's
and
on
it's in our
YouTube.
description.
Yeah, you can watch it if you want. And it's they follow the Hong Kong protests against the new extradition law. You know, the part where mainland China they tried to force this new extradition bill, which they did successfully force in the end, which sucks. But it follows the protesters and the struggle of how it kind of went from peaceful marches to a more violent thing and all that. It's something that is worth watching. And the reason why we're talking about this free documentary is that it made the shortlist, right?
Yeah. So it's well, I believe it won many awards already, especially in Sundance and stuff. It's a very short thing. It's only like half an hour. And I went through it. What was the director's name? Andres Hammer, right?
Yeah.
That's a cool
It's
ass
probably
name.
Anders.
Okay.
Anders Hammer or something.
Right. Okay. Anders Hammer.
I don't think it's Hammer.
Well, it looks like
was
Hammer.
Hammer time.
It's Hammer.
Yeah.
You're not a native English speaker?
That's not an English name.
Yeah, but are you a native English
No,
speaker?
anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't want to butcher his name.
Schwarenhua.
I don't want to butcher his name.
No, by the way, that's a little tidbit for you.
Yeah.
If you speak English or a different language in China, a lot of people in Chinese will say Shuorenhua. That
Shuorenhua.
means speak human language
Yeah.
because only Chinese is human language. So it's kind of a funny thing. I actually say that sometimes.
I mean, that's fine. Think about a pack of crayons or something where it's like skin color.
and it's just like
just
peach,
like- yeah,
your
it's
skin
like-
color.
Yeah, so there's that in every language, you know, and like
I understand.
actually in Chinese they call that rosu, you know.
Yeah, it's rosu.
Yeah, rosu, which
Which
is like
always grossed
that's
me
like
out.
that's flesh
flesh.
color.
It's called flesh.
It's like juro is like pig
Yeah.
flesh. That's what eats meat.
Yeah,
So
meat.
it's like meat color. Okay.
Tell me that's not gross.
This is the tangent episode apparently.
But it's good. People,
Yeah.
you think people don't like this?
No, sure.
We should just pre-record otherwise.
No, I'm happy.
So anyway,
rosu.
Do Not Split it's about a half an hour documentary. It's free down below. The reason we brought it up is number one, it's a very good piece if you
Yeah.
want to follow like hands on like in the streets what the protests were like and what culminated into them happening.
Sure.
But number two is if you scroll forward to the next. Yeah, I know Hammer is a freaking German name, guys. Next, we have Global Times. And Global Times is our favorite Chinese state media outlet.
Sure.
Just because they're just so brash in their language. And this is what they said. The Global Times said, Oscar-nominated film Do Not Split, which recorded violence in Hong Kong, should not win as it lacks artistry, but is full of biased political stances. Otherwise, it will hurt Chinese audiences' feelings and may face a heavy loss in the Chinese film market. First of all, this would never make it into the Chinese film
never.
market. This even discussion about it would have been shut down and censored.
Second of all, it's free.
It's free.
So what losses are they going to get? Oh, wow, we didn't make that money.
That
we
free
didn't-
YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's a YouTube video,
It's a YouTube
guys.
video.
It's literally a YouTube video. So the funny thing is this is just my favorite thing over and over again as we see every single day this happens. If you look over at the comments on the tweet, it says, thanks to Global Times to promote Do Not Split. Everyone should watch it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we know about this movie now. Thanks, Global Times.
Yep.
Thank you for introducing this film to us. Did not know about this film previously. Must watch and see how it hurts Chinese audiences' feelings. And by the way, I didn't know about it.
No, because of this now I know about
Because of Global Times, I know
Yeah.
about it. We can spread awareness now.
it. Sure.
Dolores Mack, why not let the Chinese audiences decide after they watch the film? Maybe their feelings won't get hurt so easily. And we have Hope, this is a Hong Kong guy, Hope Do Not Split will win. It is a good movie indeed.
Now, I think what the Global Times is actually inferring here about loss is the Oscars themselves.
Right.
What they're trying to do, which they always try to do, is bully the sort of umbrella organization that's trying to host this kind of thing. And what they're trying to do is make sure that the Oscars don't recognize or give an award to this particular documentary because it goes against what they want.
The Streisand Times.
Yeah.
Okay, scroll forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yes, we have
Yeah.
this tweet in the top says, "Thank you, Global Times, for making this film world-renowned. I would not know the existence of such a tiny video clip if you hadn't shown us your concerns. However, I would like to remind you that the Academy is political independent, particularly from any political stances.
Yeah.
Thank you, #China, for letting the world know about this film." And then we had this GIF which says, "Hurt feelings again."
Yeah.
And then, "Has CCP heard of the Barbra Streisand effect? Now you have."
Now you have, indeed.
I love it. I just love it.
For me, what really bothers me is this whole idea of hurting the Chinese people's feelings. Again, first of all, they haven't seen it, right? Because they can't. You can't watch that in China. How do they know that all people's feelings are hurt because of some guy who followed around the Hong Kong protests and made a little documentary?
He was Norwegian, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone out there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So a Norwegian guy films all this stuff, makes a documentary out of it, which is great and it's good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But for some
very
reason,
raw.
you get these state mouthpieces, because it's always the states, not the people. They're not coming out and saying, my feelings are hurt. Where? They go to the government. Hey, government, my feelings are hurt because somebody shot footage of the Hong Kong protests. So please shut them up for me so that I don't get my feelings hurt anymore. It's the government that comes out to say, this hurts the feelings of the Chinese people. It doesn't. It hurts the feelings of the government. Those government officials are like, you know what? We don't want this out there.
It's a thought experiment we can never see happen or materialize, because it would be very interesting if you had an impartial, complete impartial view. If you had shown the mainland public, maybe from the Hong Kongers' perspective, the people that joined the protests and why they did so, without any propaganda on any side of the deal, there probably would have been a hell of a lot more understanding and sympathy. Yeah. And the reason that China really, they cracked down mostly just to control Hong Kong and stop any dissent, but the reason that they didn't allow anybody to talk about what really happened within China and then constantly barrage the Chinese populace with how they're cockroaches and they're not even humans and they're not proud to be Chinese and F
they're
them,
traitors.
The reason they barraged the populace with this, to the point where I was seeing people that were the most placid people, maybe kids I taught, or some people that I knew personally that would never have an opinion about something like this, with a very staunch opinion posting publicly about it. It was in the government's best interest to make sure that Hong Kongers are completely dehumanized just in case anything happened, right? And so when we stripped away all the rights and all this kind of stuff away from Hong Kongers, there was no sympathy whatsoever from the Chinese populace on the other side, because that was the real danger, was do we get a sympathetic populace out of this? Because I think it could have potentially happened. I had 2 students that reached out to me that joined the protest. Because as Cantonese speakers, they were like, we have a lot in common. They're still my brethren over there, and they're fighting against the CCP. So we even had mainlanders go over there, but it was just a trickle, minute amount because of the repercussions that could happen.
Also, a lot of people growing up during the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, have an affinity for Hong Kong.
They would see Hong Kong as a way out, or as a freedom, as an example of freedom, because while they were still stuck with ration tickets and things, in Hong Kong, people were, there was a massive film industry, so they got all their music and movies from Hong Kong. They could go and buy Walkmans and VHS players, and all the high-tech stuff was happening there. Big films were being made there. Like I said, it was a big international thing. So people were looking to Hong Kong as this amazing, way out of this communist terrible situation that they were in with poverty and all that. So they have a lot of reverence for Hong Kong. But now, of course, the Chinese government doesn't want any of those feelings or any kind of sympathy towards Hong Kong to permeate into society. So they had to go all out to force this narrative of how bad Hong Kong is in the national press all the time. And so they don't want this kind of thing to get international press, because that means some Chinese people might see this and actually go and watch it and actually maybe change their mind a little bit, Yeah,
so this tweet is not the actual culmination of all this. The biggest thing, and this is what I want to tell you guys, was that the Chinese government reached out to the Academy Awards and begged them not to broadcast it live, okay? And I'll tell you why. If it's broadcast live, then the award ceremony could be watched by people with VPNs, or not even VPNs. Like, people in China will just jimmy the live stream so that they can have broadcasts on Chinese internet. You can say, porn is banned, all this kind of stuff is banned, but you can still find stuff on the Chinese internet. It's like the Wild West. It's heavily censored, but there's always weird gray area places where you can do it. So they don't want that to happen. Number 2, they also don't want to lose potential revenue from monetizing the Academy Awards being broadcast in China. Because what they can do is, if for the first time in history they get the Academy Awards to not broadcast it live, they can cut that segment out and still broadcast it to the populace on public television in China, maybe CCTV.
Yeah.
So you had this situation where it's just laughable because I mean they're expecting the Academy Awards, a non-political organization, to capitulate and bow down, and they even asked them to remove this. They said, please reconsider this. Don't put spotlights in such controversy.
Sure.
You know. Has nothing to do with the Chinese government, guys. This is a film that people recognize as being good and important, right? But it didn't stop there. There's even more.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about an independent production here.
Yeah, and on YouTube. That has 42,000 views, by the way.
Yeah. So what's this Nomad Land thing? Because it looks like a movie that I'd rather die than watch.
Okay, well, it says, after losing everything in the Great Recession, a woman embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad. You're trying to tell me that's not in your wheelhouse?
I now confirm that I would rather die than watch that movie. I'm sorry, but that's my nightmare.
Okay, now, to be fair,
okay,
there's a lot of people that would like it because it got pretty good reviews. Okay?
All right, okay.
Reception was good. I personally will agree with you. I'm not going to pretend to be like a woke-ass piece of shit over here. I wouldn't watch this movie. Not super into van dwelling.
In fact, I might even just go onto IMDb and give it a 1 star just for it existing.
I think that's a very bad idea.
Just kidding. I'd never do that.
Because what I want to flip this on its head and say, despite us not being interested in the subject matter of the film, we're very much in support of the director, Chloé Zhao, who is an ethnically Chinese woman.
Yes, there she is.
There she is. Now, Chloé Zhao directed this film, which is getting a lot of success and actually being nominated for a lot of awards.
Right.
Now, whatever, subject matter aside, I did leave the link to the trailer below if you guys want to check it out, because we should support Chloé Zhao either way. Yeah. Because of what happened.
Go give it a 5. I take that back. Go give it 5 out of 5.
It was 10, but yeah.
Oh, 5. So give it maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10, or a 10 out of 10 if you like, just to support her.
Or whatever you think.
I do not condone movies like that.
We don't have to,
no,
but we can
condone her,
the director, and the people that I don't know what. This is just a circle jerk of nonsense. But anyway, the point of this is that Chloe was canceled by the CCP, and I would like to tell you how ridiculous this actually gets. So they asked the Academy Awards to not nominate this film as well.
Okay, so why don't they want to nominate this one?
They don't want to nominate this film because of some things that surfaced about what she said in interviews. There's 2 quotes. Okay. Right. In 2013, she said, and I'm not joking, to an Australian news source, America is not my home. Okay. It's not my country, she said.
Okay, America's not my country. My country, yeah.
Insinuating that China is still her country, right?
Right.
It was mistranslated, the quote, right? And then it was broadcast in Chinese that she said, all over the Chinese internet, that she said, America is now my country. Okay?
Right.
That was enough to get a lot of people upset.
Sure.
And everyone's like, F this traitor, you know, all this kind of stuff. But then there was another thing she said, and she said that something along the lines, I think it was in some filmmaker magazine or something.
Okay.
She said something along the lines that there's a lot of lies in Chinese society, like a lot of deception.
Which is true.
Which is true.
100% true.
You know, particularly because of what the government did to create a bunch of snitches out of its own populace back during Mao's time. But anyway, a very fair statement. But that was enough to get her completely slaughtered on the Chinese internet. Even Hu Jixin, which is the guy that we just looked at, I think that was his tweet on the Global Times.
Right.
He said that the anger is justified against her and the Chinese populace and all this kind of stuff. She got canceled over that.
Yeah, she got such a small thing. And now they're trying to exclude her from the Academy Awards too.
Right.
And this is what happens when you allow an authoritarian government like China to creep into everything. Is they will censor anything they don't like for the smallest amount. Something that she said in 2013 is now going to...
And she's made a movie that everyone seems to enjoy,
and it's about
that it has nothing to do with China.
It's about a white woman who lost everything in the recession and embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad.
I know. Thank you for reading that a second time.
I did, just because it boggles my mind that that's a movie right now.
Actually, the more you read it, the more it might be kind of interesting. Because if you think about it, if you lose all your money and then you just pack stuff up in a van and you move across America, you can only do that here, man.
That's true.
You could do that in a lot of countries,
Sure.
but not in China. That's for
No,
sure.
you couldn't do that in
you
China.
You don't have a hookah for your van.
No, you don't.
My point is, it
Yeah.
made waves and people love the movie.
Sure.
So if people love the movie, then it's going to be nominated for awards.
Yeah.
And that's just the natural progression of life, dude. You got to allow that to happen. You can't bring politics into this whole thing,
No,
right?
no, you can't.
But China is seriously, because of this statement she made in 2013, which has nothing to do with the film. They don't want it to be brought to light.
Right.
Which is just ridiculous.
Sure.
You know, because she's seen as unsavory within the Chinese populace.
I know, it's ridiculous. Like, even though I don't like this kind of movie at all, you still have to allow that kind of thing to be acknowledged, because there are so many people who love this kind of thing. It's like when I was in high school and we had to go do watch a film, right? I can't remember how old I was. I wasn't very old, probably like 14, 13. And we had to go do like this film study, and they randomly chose what we had to watch. We went to the cinema. It was in the cinema. I had to go watch What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Isn't that a good movie?
No, I mean,
Oh, really?
yes.
I've never watched it.
I mean, it's arty, and it's
okay.
it's one of those, when you're a 14-year-old boy or whatever
Isn't
it is.
that Bill Murray?
No, it's got Johnny Depp in it.
Oh,
And
yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking Fried Green Tomatoes.
No, that's
a great
fun.
movie. Yeah.
No, dude, What's Eating Gilbert Grape gave me nightmares.
That's
Just,
like a psycho.
you know, the recent. No, it's just about also not growing up in a bad situation and all that.
I feel like
And
that's really famous.
It is, but I had to write a whole paper about it, and it was like the least interesting thing in my life, because I really didn't connect with that movie.
Sure.
But the fact that those kind of movies exist are good, because it gives a film class or arts and drama teacher or whatever subject matter for their class to force on young boys who don't want to watch that kind of thing, So it's something that must exist. So like this kind of thing would probably be a good study for one of those classes.
Sure. I also think that that's unnecessarily harsh, and it could be a very interesting movie.
It also separates the wheat from the chaff. The kind of people who are really interested in like drama class or whatever, they'll stick around after watching
like,
this.
they're
But
interested
people
in
like me
arts.
would be like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm out.
Right.
But
you can acknowledge that people would like this movie.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is. It's a good movie by all accounts.
Sure.
I'm
Seems like
trying to
people
say
like it.
that personal preferences, just because someone like me,
A lot of
might
people are
not
saying
like
it was
this.
a great movie.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Lots of people will love it. I'm not going to torture myself watching this one, though.
Don't let this bitter South African dictate what you like in life.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
Stop
here.
slamming the mic.
Bam! Drop the mic. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Just let's say I'm the CCP right now, right? And I don't like a movie, or I don't like a person. And just because I don't like something, I then say, no one should see this.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
it's devil's advocate. I am overplaying it a bit. I don't really have anything against movies like this. Whatever. They exist. There are movies that are ridiculous that I enjoy that nobody else would enjoy.
Sure.
It's just the way it is.
You do like some. We tend to like some very bizarre things that I could never recommend
Yeah.
to anyone. They'd be like,
Okay, what's
wrong
your...
with you?" Anyway?
Wait, before we continue, what's your one movie that you secretly like but you wish nobody ever found out you liked?
A Walk to Remember.
What's that?
I'll just show you a picture.
Okay, my one is...
I'll open it up on Rotten Tomatoes so you can see
Okay.
why I wouldn't want someone to know that. What's yours?
500 Days of Summer.
That's a great movie. What's wrong with you?
It's
That's
not-
not embarrassing
But
at all.
That's the kind of thing I'd feel embarrassed to say I like.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's a good movie.
Yeah, I think it is a good movie, but that's the whole point of this. And you think this is A Walk to Remember is a good movie too, right?
No, it's awful.
No,
but
but-
I love it.
But that's the whole point.
It's bad, dude. It's Mandy Moore, and she finds out she has cancer, but she's like a Bible girl. Like, she loves God, and her dad's a pastor, and then she falls in love with a bad boy that always like bullies everyone.
You know
She
what?
tries to save him.
I take it back. I will watch Nomadland as long as I never have to see that movie.
You didn't let me finish the
described.
synopsis.
Okay.
He needs to be saved because he's a bad boy, but she needs to be saved by him because she's battling cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
It's the worst thing you've ever seen in your life, but I love it, and I even get tears every time I watch it.
Okay, fantastic. All
Yeah.
right.
So we just really bare it all. That was actually a really good question because there's a lot of stuff. But yours is such a cheat answer. You set this up knowing that you know that's not embarrassing.
I honestly didn't. I didn't. This just
Everyone
came,
likes that movie.
It just came to me now.
Give me a different one. Everyone likes the 500 Days of Summer.
There's no other like I don't know, emotional type movie that I like.
Oh, well, if that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only like trash.
Sure.
If I could just watch trash, I'd love, Tango and Cash all
Sure.
day, Goonies, whatever, all the 80s stuff, that's me. Sorry, I got very bad taste in movies.
No, those are.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with those either.
Yeah.
Whatever, fine. It was
Cool.
interesting. Cool. Shall we move on to some super chats?
Yeah, let's do a couple super chats, guys, and we're going to move into our main topic, which is soft power, and we got a big one for you today.
As always.
Mm-hmm.
As always. Okay. One guy earlier said, this always happens. We lose some of the super chats right in the beginning, but we can still see them when we go back. Anyway, he said, no question, just love what we do. So thank you. Jay Liao says, have you guys interacted with Blondie in China? No, we haven't.
No.
She seems delusional on how great China is, ignores its various issues, and wishes to move there with her boyfriend, who is also pro-China. I mean, there is a difference. I'd like to say this because we just put out, just put out that shill video on ADVChina, which a lot of people didn't make the connection we were trying to make, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Now, with people that are really on the surface CCP shills, very clearly on state media and things like that, and putting out the idea that China does things better than the rest of the world, knowing consciously what actually happens and seeing consciously what happens, that's a shill to me.
Right.
Someone like Blondie in China, I haven't seen a ton of her stuff or anything, but it's not overt political shitting on the West. It's not genocide, ignorance. It's not that kind of stuff. She just doesn't talk about that.
It's just
stuff.
the excitement of experiencing a lifestyle that obviously is so wildly different to what she's used to back home. And a lot of that happened to us.
Sure.
It's called the honeymoon phase. And when you go to China, it's so different. And the opportunities are much greater to stand out and be different to your life back home. And so a lot of people, they see that and they chase after that lifestyle because that's what they want. They want a place where they're going to be recognized, where things are fresh and new and interesting, and where, they can experience a different level of life compared to back home, where they're probably just normal like everyone else and, kind of just struggling along.
And there's also a massive distinction that people have to make between somebody that travels and explores things and enjoys that kind of stuff. And yes, they can't portray maybe exactly what they think because of the way that Chinese government works. Sure. There's a massive distinction between somebody traveling and exploring versus somebody that makes a career out of apologizing for modern days Hitler's Germany.
Sure.
Because that's what the Chinese government has become. And if you're consciously doing that, to me, there's some moral reprehensibility if you're doing that. Period. Even if it's on the surface travel pieces right now, just because of the implications of what's happening, the stuff that we didn't know before that became very apparent to us over time. And we started to talk about. I understand not everyone has the luxury to do that, but I also understand that living in China currently and supporting that regime is also a conscious decision. Sure. And if you're aware of what's happening, especially with the genocide right now, there's very little excuses you can make for it. But that's a different tier. I don't really fault people for doing that. Sure. I do fault for people for taking money or exposure or being pumped up and propped up by the Chinese government to attack other people, maybe attack people like us, or attack Chinese people that are dissidents, attack any dissenting opinion, attacking freedom of speech, attacking democracy and things like that. And then accepting, like I said, reward for that. Yeah. While living in China, consciously knowing that all of those human rights atrocities exist, that's a different level of evil. And that's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. There needs to be a distinction.
Cool. What else we got?
V Diddy, thank you. Saraptoshi, I already read that one. Yep. V Diddy said, how do patriotic Chinese respond when asked if CCP is so good at governing and confident in their actions, why do they need censorship? Okay, that's a very good question. So there's this idea that the Chinese people one day wake up and say, holy crap, this is such an oppressive government. And the reason that's not going to happen anytime soon, there is a massive subculture of young people that are definitely aware of what's happening, but their ability to do anything is not there. The general populace, however, doesn't wake up and say, I'm living in oppression for this very reason. The government has sold this idea that, yes, before it was this secret that they censored stuff, right? Sure. They're like, oh, I don't know, YouTube just is broken. Remember that? YouTube is broken.
Oh yeah, we don't know what's going on.
Google sucks. Yeah, something like that. But now it's become it's in-your-face knowledge. The Chinese government says, yes, we censor things. And the reason that people are, by and large, again, not the independent thinkers, but by and large okay with it, is that they think that I myself, if I had the means, I could go find that information out anyway. But these other people, these other peasants, and keep in mind, a huge part of the Chinese populace, especially ones that are okay with the Chinese government, are pretty judgmental to their fellow people in their country. So they would look at someone in Tibet or look at someone in Gansu Dust Bowl farmer.
Yeah.
They would be like, that guy does not deserve to be a part of the international conversation anyway. And by and large, a huge part of our country, and they're very aware of this, are still peasants and farmers, right? So they don't deserve to be part of a free speech dialogue. So that's necessary that we cut it off. And then there's a second reason, that is that Western media, outside information is biased. It's propaganda.
Well, actually,
it's
the
not true.
government tries to push this message that they are protecting their citizens.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's, they're doing it for my protection because they're filtering out all the fake news and they're filtering out all the bad stuff. They're doing it just to, protect me and my family. That's what the government says. It's called the Golden Shield Project. The Great Firewall of China, its Chinese translation is the Golden Shield Project. It's supposed to be there to shield the poor people of China from knowledge that might hurt them, you see, and they actually buy into it, a lot of people, which is
Sure.
kind of ridiculous.
That's correct.
Anyway, let's hit another one before we get to our main
Sure.
topic.
That was a good question, though. Ricardo Lopez, how many views does our Joe Rogan of China or large social media personality receive? 1 billion views, 400 million views, etc. You guys should travel through the Sequoia National Forest. Absolutely beautiful, and it is beautiful. Yeah, lots. I mean, but there's no equivalent of Joe Rogan. Taiwan's got a Joe Rogan equivalent, but not mainland China. Someone like that, that would be dicey.
The thing is, like, even a small person can easily get millions of views in China.
That's a good
That's the
point.
thing. Some of my videos have gotten millions of views in China, and yours too.
Yeah.
And, like, people that live stream in
when they
China,
used
they
to
get
steal
huge.
our content,
Yeah, they used to
too.
steal our content and get millions of views. But that's just the thing. Millions and millions and millions. And you do get people that... in fact, in my documentary, Stay Awesome China, that I did, I interviewed live streamers, and I asked them how much people can make and stuff. If you want to know more about it, go check it out. It's on Vimeo. On demand. It's called Stay Awesome China. It's like an hour-long documentary, and you can learn a lot about the whole like live streaming thing.
I'm just going to read off these two because they're relevant to our transition. Mr. Koss, sorry I can't pronounce your first name. Cheers from Poland. Keep fighting the good fight and appreciate your work. And Haley says, hey guys, first time doing a super chat. Do you think the CCP is going to take advantage of the anti-Asian movement going on currently?
Yes, absolutely. And that
Ding,
is
ding, ding,
now
ding, ding.
Soft Power Hour. We are going to talk about the way that China is taking advantage of your thoughts through soft power. And we're definitely going to go straight into this whole anti-Asian movement thing and how it's being co-opted by the CCP in order to silence criticism of the CCP, to silence truth.
Now, to preface this first, the CCP has not explicitly used state media to do this. I'm predicting it will happen very quickly. However, it has been co-opted by CCP sycophants.
Absolutely.
CCP supporters and China apologists. The same kind of people that say that Uyghurs are not humans, they don't have souls, basically, and they need to be, they're barbarians and need to
or
be...
that they're just all terrorists and they deserve this and things. That's what
those kind of people.
The people that do that, the people that attack the Hong Kong protesters, the people who are anti-freedom, the people who are anti-democracy, and the people who suck the G-bar of the CCP.
Right. Those are the people that have co-opted this. And I am making a prediction. I think the CCP is going to run with this.
Well, they ran with the George Floyd thing.
They did. So that's why I think there's no way they're not going to.
And that wasn't even related to China.
No.
So
neither is this technically.
No, it's not. It's not to the CCP anyway.
No.
So I want to just start this out by saying that over the past day, I've been getting on Twitter specifically. Twitter is a cesspool. Everybody knows it's a cesspool, but I've been getting people tweeting at me threats of violence towards my daughter specifically, and my wife. But it's not the way you think. It's not an anti-Asian thing. It's actually the people that are pushing this anti-Asian narrative. So they're saying things
which
like...
is not race inclusive, by the way.
Yeah.
These are people from all over, these tankies.
Yeah, you get
It's
tankies. You get, Wu Maos, you get the nationalists, everyone. And they're basically saying, look, because you criticize the CCP, you're fueling these anti-Asian attacks. I hope that your daughter turns out looking really Asian so she can get attacked too. I hope your wife and daughter get attacked is what they're saying. It's veiled threats of violence against my family. And what they're trying to do is stop me from talking about the CCP. So it's this false equivalency. The CCP is not a race, okay? The CCP is a government. And if you criticize government policies and you criticize societal issues brought about by the governance of that country, you are not pointing out a race. And you're not saying this race is bad. You're not saying Chinese people are bad. What you're saying is the CCP is a bad government and what they're doing. And that's the biggest part of all this is everyone knows that both you and I support Taiwan like big time. We love Taiwan. You watched that thing about pineapples. Taiwan and Taiwanese people are Chinese, okay? the Taiwanese culture is traditional Chinese culture before it was destroyed.
Fujian culture.
Yeah. But, the fact of the matter is, it is a remnant of the real culture of China. The temples remain, the prayers remain, the superstitions remain. When you go to Taiwan, you see all the things that are missing from mainland China.
You know what else remains?
What?
Being nice.
Yeah, nice and decent. Anyway, the whole point is that they're ethnically Chinese. Of course, there are minorities in Taiwan too, but I'm just saying the majority there. Ethnically Chinese, the culture is Chinese. Mm-hmm. We love that, okay? Japan. Absolutely love Japan. We can't wait to go there again for our next big adventure. I've always loved Japan. I loved it before I moved to China. I speak Japanese. It's one of those things. This whole idea that criticizing the CCP is somehow anti-Asian or anti-Chinese or anti-whatever, and that results in this is nonsense. Because how can I be praising Chinese people, and I do, actual mainland Chinese people all the time, say how great they are and stuff. How can I be praising Chinese culture in Taiwan, praising Taiwanese people, but at the same time saying the mainland CCP is bad, but then that somehow ends up being me being anti-Chinese or anti-Asian.
The thing is, you're making this a personal thing, but no, I'm not saying that's bad. It's a good lens and idea onto how this is spreading. This rhetoric is spreading. So you can be pro-Asian democracy, which is what we are, right? You can, and this is not good. Let me take it away from us. People that are pro-Asian democracy, right? Very much in favor of what happened in South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan.
Oh yeah,
it's a beautiful thing, and people more akin to what we believe in would really look up to something like that. And sometimes, honestly, a lot of the attributes of Taiwanese democracy, I'm jealous of as an American.
Yeah,
right?
It's fantastic there.
The Taiwanese people, that push all that aside. Even if we're talking about the CCP, right? We're talking about the Chinese government. And even if people are going to bring in the people that support the CCP, let's say there are diehard nationalists that love Xi Jinping and they love their government, that's fine, right? Mm-hmm. We've never once, and I don't think any of these people have said that even those people are evil or that something should be done with those people.
Never.
I may disagree with their opinion, and I may think that they're quite brainwashed into believing these things, but that doesn't mean that I ever wanted harm to these people, right? And this is the problem, is that tankies, we can declare war on tankies here.
Sure.
By the way, can you define tankies for everyone in case they don't know?
It's just these guys who suck the jiba of the CCP. It's people that worship communism
and authoritarianism.
And authoritarianism. So the tankies, that term came from people that used to worship the Soviet Union, but now it's moved over to people who worship China,
which is funny because China has no social policies. No. Tankies believe, and it's hilarious. Tankies actually believe that China takes care of its citizens with social programs and welfare, and the education's amazing, and the healthcare's top notch. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Social mobility is like all of these things, these farces that they believe in. They're just believing the Chinese propaganda, just like people did with the Soviets back in the day. Now, anyway, tankies. There's a lot of tankies nowadays.
Oh, lots.
And their whole thing is that they love to destroy the tenets of Western democracies. Yes. They freaking hate Western democracy.
They do. They hate it so much. Yeah.
And one of the things they do is they like to equate racism with every single thing. So when we see that we get attacked by tankies every single day. Yeah. Every single day. And what they do is they say, the blood is on your hands. All of these anti-Asian attacks, this is because of you, right? And there's just literally nothing you can do to link those two together.
Yeah.
When we see that there's anti-Asian attacks, we feel very upset about it. And there's two reasons. Number one, these tankies get ammo for their bullshit.
Yeah.
And number two, it's an awful thing that happened. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure human beings can come together and say, it's pretty freaking awful to target a race for hate crimes or violence. Absolutely. Even shouting things and slurs like this. Stuff that we had to deal with a little bit in China.
A lot, yeah, sure.
I should say a lot. But I'm not saying that should roll off your back. I'm saying we should absolutely confront this issue, 100%. But just as importantly, do not let an authoritarian government, China, the most racist country you will ever go to in the history of the world.
They hate Japanese people. They hate Korean people.
If you want to talk about anti-Asian.
They hate Indian people with a passion.
Oh my gosh.
Like
Black people.
Yeah, this is just it permeates society. And when I say this, I'm saying it from experience. When they set up that THAAD thing, they're smashing out, Korean goods on the street. They're destroying Korean shops, okay? Specifically targeting people
Sushi shops as well, yeah.
on their nationality here,
Right. Based on nationality.
Yeah, exactly. Japan, they go on those massive anti-Japan riots all the time. There's anti-Japan TV every day showing how bad Japan is. They put out this absolute hate towards other Asians. Indians, you talk to any Chinese person ever,
wow,
and they just want to say how bad Indian people smell, and they've got lots of bad things to say about Indians. I'm talking in mainland China from my experience.
Sure, and we shouldn't say everyone, obviously.
No, from my experience. When I
societally, it's okay.
About black people, the way they treat black people and Africans is just ridiculous. We're talking about a very, very racist government here and a racist society. And I can say it's racist because it is. I'm not lying when I say that. People treat, in China, because it's so homogenous, they treat other races as something different. Okay, but very blatantly. It's not like a little whisper here or there, a little racist joke amongst friends. It'll be like you're walking down the street and they're Wai Guo Ren, Hey Ren, you can't anima hey, tanima cho, jika hey gui, blah blah. You hear this. Yeah, exactly. You hear this stuff being spoken out loud in public. It is a very racist society. So it's really always flabbergasts me when you see the CCP or CCP supporters co-opting the idea of this racism being a bad thing when the CCP is the worst. Killed its own people. How many Asian Chinese people did the CCP end up destroying throughout the years?
And another thing I've seen that a lot of the tankies do is they'll viciously attack Uyghur dissidents. So people that ran away from Xinjiang by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
And are promoting Uyghur activism to free the Uyghur people, their own Uyghur people in Xinjiang that are being oppressed by the Han majority government in concentration camps, are being attacked by these tankies that are saying that they're racist for doing so. And by them bringing up Xinjiang activism or Uyghur activism or awareness, then they're contributing to Asian attacks. These people are Asian, you dumbass.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you? And we're talking about these tankies. A lot of these people are white people that are doing this. They're arguing with Uyghur activists.
Yeah, to say they're
racist attacks. Now, let's remove all of this, right? And this is a big thing. We're talking about how we're going to address this.
Yeah.
Because that actually has nothing to do with what's happening.
Sure.
These Asian attacks are reprehensible and awful, but that it's a consequence of Americans attacking Americans, right?
Yeah.
The fact that people are equating this with the Chinese government and saying that when you attack the Chinese government now and their principles, it contributes to attacks on Americans that look Asian.
Yeah.
You're talking about a stretch that goes for miles here, guys. But unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with right now.
Let's just talk about this openly. Okay, there's been a rise of Asian hate crimes or attacks against Asians. I still am trying to figure out what's going on here, why this is happening, because when you look at each individual case, you can't really tie them together.
Sure.
What I'm saying is I've been seeing a lot of black people attacking Asians. When I look, the majority of them actually are black people attacking Asians. I don't know what's going on in the African-American community or what's going on, because that seems to be the case. But at the same time, it's not only black people attacking. That was in the beginning. There are white people attacking Asians as well. And I'm curious as to what the motivation is behind these attacks. What is causing them? Is it because of the coronavirus? Is everybody pissed off at the coronavirus and now they're just going to lash out at random Asian people? I don't know, because to me, it makes no sense. It's as if somebody is pissed off with America and then they attack a French guy in Peru, Different Asian people come from different places. Even if you do blame China for ruining your life, you should not attack someone who looks Asian, because who knows if they're Chinese?
Well,
you shouldn't attack anyone.
If they are Chinese, it doesn't matter, does it?
They didn't have anything to do with it, That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to say. You're saying, if their motivation is to attack a Chinese person because of the coronavirus, which is clearly wrong.
Absolutely.
Then they're still misguided in what they're doing, period.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, we don't have to say anything about you just don't freaking attack people, you dumbasses. But I see what you're saying, like to find the motivation. And the conversation does stop there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
Then we had this guy who shot up these Asian massage parlors.
That's what we're going to talk about.
And this is the big thing. Everybody knows about this. So this guy, and now this is the news that's going on out there. Okay, this is what we're running off of. The guy went into these Asian massage parlors, shot a bunch of women, shot 2 white people, shot 6 Asian workers in the Asian massage parlors.
Some Koreans, I think a couple Chinese, yeah.
Then he got in his car. He was going down to Florida to attack the pornography industry. The guy, this is his own words, is that he had a sex addiction and he was trying to eliminate the source of his sex addiction. So he's going after massage parlors because
he's a psychopath.
Unfortunately, it's not exactly a secret, but Asian massage parlors in the States are fronts for brothels or happy endings and stuff.
For sure.
Plenty of them, because that's just what people know. I mean, it's something that people know. It's common knowledge, all right? It doesn't mean they are, but I'm just saying that a lot of them are fronts for some kind of sexual services. You see the adverts all over the place. Yeah. You know, and you got special apps that help you find them. All this kind of weird stuff. If you go
in Flushing, New York City, and you can read Chinese, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. They're all over the signs, and they'll pop out.
Anyway, so this guy was, you know, he says the actual killer himself, the piece of shit dirtbag, which, by the way, psychopaths like this are the worst cancer to society. These people that cannot handle their own issues and have to go and take it out and kill other people. It's the most disgusting thing you can ever do. Shame on this guy.
It's so cowardly.
This piece of shit needs to get the death penalty if that's possible, you know? And if not, he must be locked away forever. People like this need to be taken care of, and people have to look for early warning signs, this kind of mental health issue. It happens around the world. It's not an American-only problem. You get those guys who go on kindergarten stabbing sprees in China or just go and murder people. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
In South Africa, I don't even need to talk about it. It's just like everybody's killing everyone there. It's like the worst place ever for like just killing and random
If murder's
people.
your thing, you'll have
and
fun.
especially racially motivated murders.
Sure.
And the reason I could talk a little bit of authority on this is because that is what South Africa is. In the past, there was a lot of racial hatred. Well, still is a lot of racial hatred. Right now, white farmers are being targeted because of the color of their skin and being actually murdered and raped and tortured and things like that. It's real hate crimes towards an ethnicity or towards the color of a skin is happening, you know, where I'm from. And it affects me because my parents own a farm and I know people who have died there because of this in horrific ways. It's a thing that rarely happens and it's disgusting, and I'm completely against any kind of racial hatred towards any race, whether they be white, black, brown, Asian, doesn't matter. Any kind of race should not be targeted for any reason whatsoever. You know, you can, if you have a beef with someone, you beef that with that person. You don't beef with people that have the same color skin as that person.
We shouldn't even have to have this conversation in 2021, but apparently we do.
Yeah.
Now the reason that we wanted to bring this up, and you can go to the next, you can go to the slide, is because of how important we think this is. Number one. I said this should be confronted, right? And this can be part of the conversation. That's fine. But the problem is that we can't let the conversation stop at, we need to stop hashtag Asian violence.
This, by the way, I don't think that this guy's attack was racially motivated.
We don't know yet, but probably not.
I don't think, whatever, he's a fucking nut job and he's a disgusting human being who killed a bunch of people.
Killed some white people as well, didn't he?
He just killed people, and he was going to go kill people in the pornography industry down in Florida. That's it. His motivation was just to be a cold-blooded piece of shit killer. Because he's too little of a man.
That was going to be my segue, is that we have seen racially motivated attacks against Asian Americans, and it's reprehensible and awful. But let's remove those attacks from this one and look at this specifically to see what tankies and pro-CCP people do about this. Yeah. So over here we have the Daily Mao, which is, I don't want to call it a parody. It's basically a dude that said, well, if the Daily Mail can write shitty news publication, I can do one too. But it's actually just pro-CCP stuff. It's genocide denial.
Yeah.
It's shitting on Hong Kong protesters, calling them subhuman. It's just it's like a hate thread. I can't believe this stuff's allowed, to be honest.
Yeah, it's basically just hate. Yeah.
It's hate and pro-China stuff. But anyway, this is what they posted. They said how it started and how it's going. So let's look at how it started. This is what they said.
Okay.
So it says the Washington Post, and they talk about the origins of the coronavirus.
Right.
So this guy is insinuating that talking about the origins or questioning the origins of the coronavirus so that we can avoid a future pandemic at the hands of basically modern day Hitler's Germany with the CCP.
Right.
So we can actually have answers for that. That is leading to the following tweet here, which is this is the killer, the shooter.
Yeah. So this, by the way, is fake. Before anyone jumps in, this is fake. But this is what was tweeted. It's been proven fake by Facebook itself.
Yeah, Facebook removed it, right?
These pro-CCP actors, okay, are going to the biggest lengths possible to cancel any kind of criticism of the CCP. So what they've done is taken this psychopath shooter who killed all these innocent women, okay, and they made a fake post where he's like basically saying China's engaged in a COVID cover-up. They blocked our investigations from going to their lab in Wuhan and finding the truth about the experiments they were conducting there. If they're innocent, why block? China must be hiding something. They know the Wuhan virus. They know the Wuhan virus was created, and killing 500,000 Americans was just part of the plan to secure global domination in the 21st century. All Americans need to fight back against China. Now, Republicans, Democrats, we all need to stand against China. Let me get me out of there. The greatest evil of our time.
So let me say something here.
Yeah.
This Daily Mao. So let's go back and where you put those two together.
Yeah, the two of them together.
The Daily Mao and these tankies, right? So they're ultimate. The people that rushed to pump this out because they ran with this, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being skeptical as you should be, like Winston and I do not publish things or talk about things that we haven't vetted ourselves.
Yeah.
They rushed to pump this out there, and do you know why? Because the person who created this fake tweet. This is what you have to keep in mind. This was not from the killer's mouth, right?
No.
This was from a tanky who is pro CCP, who literally doesn't have enough material to work off of to be able to equate this shooting with anti-Asian sentiment in the U.S. and equate these two things so that they have an argument to argue for the Communist Party of China, because that's it. You can prove that just by reading this, right? Sure. Someone went out of their way to literally fabricate this so that people can get upset and create more animosity and hatred out of something that potentially didn't start from that.
They tried to stoke racial division and hatred, and the reason that they tried to do that is to try and link a psychopath to some kind of person who doesn't like China and the COVID cover-up and stuff. And the reason they're doing this is, look, they're attacking the Washington Post for posting articles about we must investigate China. So what their end goal here is to stop people trying to investigate China. Their end goal is to stop people from trying to question anything that China says that is blatantly wrong. They don't want these questions out there. They don't want people doing journalism about China. You know why? Because they don't want them to find out these uncomfortable secrets that China has. They don't want the truth to be out there. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, hey, Washington Post, hey, anyone on the internet, if you try to question these things, what you're going to do is you're going to motivate a scumbag psychopath to go out and kill Asians. So you better not do it next time. This
is tanky logic. You know what's this is the craziest thing, guys.
Yeah.
Is that the tankies, as soon as this came out as fake, right? The tankies, and I'm talking about Western tankies here. Western people that worship the CCP and authoritarianism justify things like this.
Yeah.
They justify faking this to create a narrative because it furthers their cause.
Yeah.
Amongst conversations within their own Twitter feeds and all this kind of stuff that I've been reading, it's justified because at least it got the conversation going.
Sure.
So you can make up a lie that inspires the wrong kind of sentiment and probably changes a lot of people's minds about this whole thing, when in fact that wasn't the case.
Even mainstream media is putting out headlines like, even if it wasn't racially motivated, it doesn't change the fact that there's a problem. You know, and they're trying to tie this disgusting thing that happened here to this anti-Asian hate crime thing that's going on. They're trying to stoke this.
But ultimately, the reward is for the CCP so that people lay off on the CCP.
Yeah.
Because nothing scares people like racism.
Yeah.
If you're saying that, okay, we can't talk about the CCP anymore. I hate the CCP and I think their global influence is atrocious and their genocide is terrible, but we can't talk about that anymore because of this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Then that's exactly their goal. That's the win. China loves Asian attacks. It loves it.
Yeah.
You have absolutely no idea. You've seen the petty levels that the Chinese government goes to.
The state media, the Global Times.
What the lengths that they go to already to promote their own image and denigrate everything else, right? To blatantly lie and say the most atrocious, horrific things in the world to promote their own image and brand of authoritarianism, to make it palatable for the West. They love when this kind of stuff happens. And that's why tankies, people that work for them or people that share the sentiments, I think they have some sexual fetish. I think tankies, they like to be trampled on and stuff and like to be like whipped and like, they want authoritarianism.
Sure.
So they'll do these atrocious things that incite more problems. They incite, have the dialogue about anti-Asian attacks, but you've equated it with something that's not real. And now if you say, oh, well, this was fake. Like, we need to actually look at the cause. No, that's racist now. Because, no, the conversation should be about, oh, actually, it probably was racially motivated. But even if this is fake, we still have to confront this and all this kind of stuff. And we shouldn't talk about the CCP anymore.
Sure.
Because that's the ultimate goal of this whole
They
thing.
want everybody to stop criticizing the CCP. You know, the thing is then, like I started this conversation, I then started to get all these veiled threats against my wife and
Right.
child who are like, oh, your wife and daughter look Asian. I hope your daughter looks really Asian, because what are you going to say if one of these anti-Asian guys attacks and kills them? That's actual tweets. I'm quoting actual tweets that were sent
Sure.
to me. So what we see is who the real hateful people are.
Sure.
We see the people who actually are racially
Motivated.
because what difference does it make how my daughter looks, whether she looks more Asian or less Asian or whatever? That doesn't matter.
No.
But they are so stuck on these race identities and the racist shit, and it comes out. It comes out in this hateful shit that they want harm to come to my family, because then it kind of proves that
Sure.
saying bad things about the CCP,
Well, and
is
even if
bad
it's
or
not about
something.
you, it's they relish in things like this to the point where they have to fabricate things like
Yeah.
this to further their narrative.
This is the Jussie Smollett or
Yeah,
Smollett
yeah.
of, anti-Asian attacks. This kind
I
of
saw
nonsense.
something really interesting on this. Was a reply. It was a woman who is obviously part of this. Like, she wants to spread the awareness of China. She likes China.
Yeah.
She likes Chinese propaganda. She's
Right.
definitely a tanky. But she said, I didn't post it on here, but she said, we better fact check this, because this is going to blow up in our face. This is
Yeah.
going to be huge backlash if this turns out to be fake. And she kept saying, she's like, can we fact check this?
Sure.
Because this is going to hurt our narrative. And unfortunately, I have to say, I'm happy it hurts your narrative, because you can't make shit like this up.
Well, they do. They make this up.
You can't make this up, and you can't make
Yeah.
this up and get away with it in good conscience, because it's not contributing to any movement forward with the Asian hate movement that is horrifically reprehensible. But you do not equate it to fake bullshit. So you can actually prop up the CCP, which is the worst government in the entire world that has a genocide and hates Asian people
You want to
more than
know
anything.
who killed more Asians than this disgusting psychopath? The CCP killed more Asians than this disgusting psychopath. Just look through their recent history. How many millions of people died through starvation, or because of political dissidents or people that didn't agree with them being executed or sent to camps or doing whatever it is. Look right now at what's happening with the Uyghurs and the Tibetans. Look right now what happens to people who are dissidents, how they're being hounded overseas and forced to
And their
do
families
things.
are
Their families
murdered
are being
and disappeared.
Look at the people disappearing. China executes more people a year than I care to even talk about, because of petty things. All right? A 99.9% conviction rate in the courts. If you smoke a joint in China and you get caught, you can go. If you have a certain amount of weed on you, you will get executed in China. Does that register with these tankies who I bet you they love weed?
A lot
I
of
bet
them,
you
probably.
that's they smoke weed and think about how good communism is, and that's what they do, and they wear a beret.
Oh, and they also really support LGBT stuff, which I think the most of the world is pretty on board with equal
Sure.
rights for everyone.
Except
But
China.
except for countries that they worship. So you're talking about a country that literally hates gay people.
Yeah.
The only thing they did was decriminalize it, but
Yeah.
it is not a
They-
sentiment that is promoted or cherished in Chinese society, guys.
Yeah,
The
you see that
government
textbook?
erases it.
They said that it's like can be defined as a mental.
Yes, they brought it
mental
back. They
illness.
brought back
Yeah.
the distinction that it can be defined as a mental illness.
Sure.
Number two, they erase gay images or anything that promotes LGBT stuff off of media. So we're talking about tankies
Mm-hmm.
that live a privileged life. They have plenty of money and everything that they need. Fantasize about an authoritarian government choking them until they pass out so they can blow their load or whatever they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And then go out there and then promote this government that hates gay people, hates Asian people, hates everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. And I hope you can sleep well at night. And this Daily Mao and all of these other people that promoted this,
Yeah.
they still have it up.
Oh,
it's still up.
People were tweeting this exact screenshot at me.
Sure.
And saying, "I hope your daughter looks Asian."
Yeah.
So that she can get killed by one of these guys.
You understand? We get. I can't. Again, I try to avoid this kind of stuff. The amount of stuff that we get.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I don't want to inspire anymore, but the amount of stuff that we get from people that are wishing us and our families dead.
Yeah.
You don't understand. You wouldn't be able to. Most people wouldn't mentally be able to deal with it.
No,
Okay.
sure.
We're not talking about just little like, oh, I hope you die. Not stuff like that. Big stuff. Okay, guys. this is the kind of stuff that leads to that. And that's a personal thing on us. That's on us. So we decided to take up the cross to fight against authoritarianism, okay?
We've been quite silent on this. Well, not silent,
Sure.
I should say. Every time we have an episode, we basically put it out there that you should never take your frustrations out. And these anti-Asian attacks are a terrible thing and should not be a thing. Any attack against anyone is a bad thing. You know, it doesn't matter for what reason, whether it's a racist reason or a monetary reason or a greed or whatever it is, or you just don't like someone and they pissed you off. Any kind of attack against somebody is just bullshit and shouldn't be done. We keep putting that out there, but we've been keeping a little silent on this because people have been trying now for years to tie us somehow to these attacks against Asians, which is nonsense. It's not the case. What we do in our videos, in case people are new here, is we tackle issues that China has, okay? And the CCP, the bad actions of the CCP get the spotlight on our channels these days. We love China. We traveled through China. I lived there for 14 years. You lived there for 10 plus years. We spent a huge chunk of our lives in China. And why? Because we love the Chinese people and we love China. But at the same time, we got to understand China so well during that time, especially dealing with the government, because
The transition of the government.
and also just dealing with government. In my work, in my business, I dealt with a lot of government people. Being a foreigner, you kind of get roped into these things where you meet government officials.
You see how it works.
You have to navigate the government system over there. And so you reach a point where you realize just how bad the CCP is in so many ways and all the big mistakes and the way the rest of the world has not recognized what's going on. And so we talk about the CCP. That does not mean that we're anti-Asian. It does not mean that we're anti-Chinese.
We shouldn't have to say that.
Yeah,
That's
but
just ridiculous.
I'm making it clear
I get it.
for people out there. It does not in any way link us to any kind of attack, because if I were to say the ZANU-PF and Robert Mugabe is a piece of shit and some Zimbabwean guy gets attacked in some random country, you're not putting that on me. If somebody says they don't like the Australian government and they hate all the policies of the Australian government, and an Australian person gets attacked somewhere in Australia or a different country, it's not that person's fault. We're talking about governments here. Everybody and their dog hates on the American government. How many times do I hear shit about the American government, especially on Twitter and places like that? People hate the American government. They keep criticizing the American government's policies, how shit they are in Syria, how shit they are with this global warming thing, how shit they are with, dealing with this and this
war.
and that. Yeah, war and all this. How Trump's such a bad person. Biden said, how many people criticize the American government? Like everyone. So
including Americans.
Take any one of those people that criticize the American government, and the next time there's an attack on an American randomly somewhere for whatever reason, maybe someone steals his wallet and beats him up and says, "Go home, Yank." Are you going to say that you can't criticize Trump because you criticize Trump, now all of a sudden you're responsible for somebody getting mugged in Guatemala or something? It doesn't make sense. This is a false equivalency that they've been trying to push.
It's so false that they have to make things up like this.
They have to make this shit up. This is fake, by the way, for those of you who just joined us. This massage parlor guy who hates porn and hates sex, or he loves it too much and did some fucking terrible things and he's a horrible person. He did not write this. No. This is made up by pro-CCP people.
By tankies.
In order to tie this psychopath not only to criticism of the CCP, but also tie it to Taiwan.
You can see the political motivation behind this.
They want to say, hey, if you're going to criticize the CCP, if you're going to support Taiwan, if you're going to do anything that we don't like that's against the CCP, you're responsible for hate crimes.
This has been going on for a while now. Like, anti-Asian sentiment is a real thing. And it's a terrible thing. But people like Tedros, for example, and what happened here, people like Tedros really delegitimize that conversation. You're taking away what the real root of racism is and the actual conversation people should be having. You wipe that away. That's gone now, so that can't be fixed.
Sure.
Perpetuating it is only furthering people's agendas. And people like Tedros in the WHO, the leader of the WHO, literally tried to pull the whole, I got racist threats against me because of what Taiwanese people said. Taiwanese people are Chinese, bro.
Yeah.
So when Taiwanese people are criticizing your response to the pandemic because you didn't acknowledge Taiwan, and then you pulled a racist card, and then a lot of these tankies, they like to remove the Taiwan aspect. They're like, oh, I got all these racist attacks and stuff from Taiwanese people, but who are Chinese, ethnically Chinese. And then everyone's like, oh shit, maybe we can't be critical of the Chinese government anymore because look at what happens. People people get hate mail.
Yeah.
This is very terrible. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This equivalency needs to stop now. And I don't think anyone's willing to talk about it.
Sure.
You should be smart enough to know that the Chinese government's not the people.
Yeah.
And to attack an Asian person based on race is racist, but is separate from CCP criticism.
Sure.
You must make it like that.
Yeah.
Go to the next thing here.
Sure.
Now, we never talk about this.
Sure.
Okay? And the reason we wanted to bring it up, we thought this is a good point. Now, the sentiment against us is rampant. And I picked the most mild example I could find just so it wouldn't get demonetized on YouTube.
Sure.
And I'm not going to even go through this. But this is Quora. And this is just a new thing that they put up about me.
Quora belongs to China.
Yeah,
now.
it's basically like Yahoo Answers, but now it's just like a Moo Mao Central.
Yeah.
But they post this stuff in English and stuff, and they go here calling me a sex pet, and they put these racist pictures of Asian people, which I thought was very offensive. Like, why are you using racist pictures of Asians?
Because
you made
these guys are the most racist people there are.
You made this, guys. Like that's how you think then.
Why do you think it says white sexpats? Because again, it's all about race. They love race. They have to call out people's race. You are white. You are Asian. This person thinks this person thinks, oh, Asian people are seen as sex slaves. This and that. They are the most racist people that you can think of. And I love the fact that they try to use this idea of someone being racist to delegitimize them. Yeah. But they themselves are the most racist people out there.
Sure. Or calling someone like us a sex pet. The guy that married the first girl he dated in China has 2 children. Sure. And then has a stable life with them. Just go to, this is the most important thing is what I wanted to show. Go to the next one. I don't give a shit about this. Just like, it's just a circle jerk here. Yeah. These are like Wu Maos and they're tankies too. Yeah. And what they do is they like to, I'll just read this. In many cases, there are foreigners got their egos inflated by the curiosity and hospitality of the Chinese people. The best way of dealing with foreign trash like Laowhy and SerpentZA is to treat them with the least amount of courtesy a human-like creature deserves. If you do that, these shills will be knocked down a peg or two and start to pander to you. Classic traits of bullies. And it's a circle jerk of this, and it gets worse. It'll start with something kind of mild, and you'll go down and down. There's hundreds of these comments. And by the way, this is literally the most mild one. Yeah. If you go on don't even get me started on the Chinese forums.
I love how they allowed to publicly on so-called Western Quora belongs to China, platforms actually make public death threats against our families and against us. I mean, on the Chinese internet, that's been going on for years and years. It's fine, whatever. They talk about how they want to kill, rape my wife and my daughter and stuff, and what they want to do to me. That's whatever it is. But the fact that it's allowed to be out there now, why do people not call this stuff out?
And the thing is, like, I've actually had people like, where does he live? I'm going to. This is on an Asian supremacy forum, which exists by the way.
There's lots of them. Yeah.
I'm gonna, because I don't support the CCP. I'm gonna go curb stomp him until his teeth fall out and he dies. Yeah. Right. That is on there and it's not banned. No. It's totally fine. Sure. Now these kind of things. The reason I brought this up is because we don't talk about this stuff. No. The reason being is, why would we spotlight something that's so trivial and bullshit? This doesn't represent the opinion of Asian people to me. No. This is, when I talk to 99% of Asian people, including my friends and our supporters that support us with all their hearts, who are Asian and mostly Chinese. Yep. These people are not these people. I don't read this stuff and go, God damn it, Asian people are really ticking me off with all these death threats and calling me trash. I don't equivalent. I don't bring those two things together.
Because, it's not politically good for you to do that. No. The only reason why all these tankies and stuff are using the attacks against Asian people is because it plays in their political favor. It fits their narrative. It helps them try to push this idea that criticizing the bad actions of the CCP, like genocide, for instance, which is going on right now, cultural genocide, all the bad things that the CCP is doing, if you dare to criticize that, it's going to end up with these hate crimes. So stop. Don't talk about it. It's just to silence them.
Truly, and that's really the conclusion of this. So the reason we don't bring up this stuff is this happens. We're barraged. I think most people would just they would stop what we do at this point because of the shit we deal with.
Thousands of threats a week. Yeah. And I mean, I'm getting them from all fronts because we don't share this with you guys, right? But we receive emails that show dead children and things like that. Some disgusting things come to our private email addresses and our business email addresses telling us to shut up about China. This is what can happen to your family. We get things coming to our Twitter, our inboxes on Facebook, our Instagram inboxes.
cetera.
any social media you can think of, we get disgusting things sent to us and people trying to stop us and silence us. Now, it's very evident that we're doing the right thing to get that kind of attention, because why would someone go out of their way? Why would thousands and thousands of people go out of their way to try and silence us through underhanded, disgusting, sneaky means?
When we're criticizing a government.
Yeah, and they use all these kind of veiled ways of pushing you with duress and, trying to blackmail you, trying to stop you. It shows you that they can't publicly come out because what we're saying is true. And we've hit a nerve. And so I want to put it out there right now that you can try and push this garbage on us as much as you like. You're just motivating me to continue. I am not going to stop because of this. You can try and call me a racist all you want. I know I'm not a racist. You're a racist, you piece of shit. On top of that, you come at us with all this disgusting underhanded shit attacking our families, you petty little shits. That only gives me more courage to stand up against you.
You're not furthering your agenda by doing this,
No.
guys. It's just not clever.
This nonsense that is going on and this whole discussion of race, this is all nonsense. When it comes to race, we acknowledge there are different races in the world, okay? When it comes to racial hate crimes, we acknowledge that it's a terrible thing that should never happen, and we do not encourage it at all. What we do encourage, though, is now digging deeper into the CCP. Why would people go to these massive efforts to try and silence any kind of journalism, criticism of the CCP? Why would they try to fabricate?
It opens a new dialogue.
Racist hate crime stuff in order to stop people from digging into the CCP because they're desperate, because we're onto something and we must continue. Now we've got to double down. We've got to dig in like a Alabama tick. All right?
Yes.
We're on the right track here, guys. And we cannot be discouraged, and I won't be discouraged, and I hope neither you guys out there will be discouraged.
Well, I hope you are discouraged at this point, whoever made this fake bullshit,
No,
because you literally look like such an idiot right now.
I'm talking about our
evil,
audience.
I know. I'm talking about these evil assholes. How embarrassed are you right now? Wherever you are in your basement, like that did this on behalf of the CCP, whatever directive you got or whatever war you think you're fighting, you must be so ashamed right now.
Yeah.
Because if it gets back to you, your cause is lost.
Don't worry, they're going to go drown their sorrows by having a craft beer and hot pot.
Sure. And the CCP officials that maybe put them up to it, they're going to have a hard time committing genocide through all their tears. Right?
Sure.
Oh, my genocide is hard to commit now.
Yeah. Oh,
Fuck
man.
you.
Yeah, pretty
Anyway,
much.
let's move on.
So-
shall we do some...
That was for everybody out there who wanted to hear our response on the Asian hate crimes, and also this thing about this crazy psycho who shut up these Asian massage parlors, because I've been getting a lot of people asking.
Sure.
That's our definitive answer to it. We don't want to keep harping on about this stuff. You've heard it from us that we acknowledge that these things are bad. You've heard everything we have to say about it. If there are any more developments, we'll talk about it again in the future if we have to.
I'm scared to talk about anything.
And we are focusing on China, the CCP, and what's going on. So let's continue by answering a couple of super chats first.
Bengal New York Tiger New York City says, hey guys, considering the rise in wages, how does China maintain its position in super low wage industries like textiles, cheap plastic goods, etc.? They move them inland.
Yeah.
So before, in the province we used to live in, it was mostly polluting manufacturing, Guangdong.
Yeah.
And a lot of those factories moved into Guizhou, into Hubei. A lot of them went to Hubei. Gansu, those interior regions. So they moved the pollution away so that poor people can have the pollution now.
Yeah.
And the people that are middle income or wealthy, they don't have to breathe that in anymore.
Yeah, we discussed that last time, but when you travel into the rural parts of China, suddenly the price of everything drops.
Yeah.
So, you pay 10 RMB for a bowl of noodles on the
It's
coast.
wildly different.
But you go in there, you're paying 1.5
yeah.
RMB for the same bowl of noodles. So people live a cheaper lifestyle. Everything is cheaper in those parts, including the labor, obviously, so they can get away with it.
Yeah. Crypto Fox says, thanks for keeping it real. Love your channels.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Oh, sorry. And I missed V Diddy. How does the CCP justify simultaneously claiming to be confident in their actions and actively censoring worldwide response to their actions? That's the game. And that's this is my video on Saturday.
Yeah.
The innate advantage of a government like China's is that they can project any images that they want and simultaneously censor any differing opinions. So you get to have a full-on utopian dream of what you are.
Yeah.
Right. To portray to the world and to your domestic populace.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about, on Saturday, I'm going to talk about why that's just not true.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't buy into it.
Sure.
Living happily in China. Thank you very much. Janky Ramen. Thank you for all you do. During a recent episode, you mentioned that you both play Baldur's Gate. Any interesting in streaming? My partner and I would 100% watch that.
Hey, we might do that. It's Baldur's Gate 3. We love it.
Yeah.
But
When the
it's-
full game comes out.
because we finished the early access.
I wouldn't mind. I think it would be kind of fun.
We'll do it obviously on a different channel.
Yeah, it would
But,
have to be somewhere else. But I wouldn't mind messing around with that.
Sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe we can go on Twitch.
that's been my favorite game in it forever.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to say thank you to the guy that recommended Final Fantasy 14 last time in the super chat. We said nah. Remember we said nah because
Yeah.
it's an MMO. We are currently playing it.
Yeah,
And I in particular,
you love-
I
call it
loving it.
Fetch Quest 14,
Sure.
but whatever.
But you kind of like it.
Yeah, but I'll give it a try.
Right. I'm level 18. You're level 16 or something, right? Cool. Greg Fear, thoughts on Bill Maher's silly people rant?
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me about that.
I might do a video on it. I haven't watched the entire thing. I tend to get put off by when people send me links. And this is just me being honest. When people send me links of celebrities' opinions on China stuff, because it's typically either, I don't want to say wrong, but ignorant. It's either ignorant on both sides, whether it's pro or anti. It's ignorant or it's like, duh. You know what I mean? And the people, just because it's a famous person, then all of a sudden it's something to, and I'm glad people talk about stuff.
That's the thing, though. It often takes a celebrity to raise
and
awareness.
that's a good thing. But for me, it's tough because then you watch it and you're like, well, gee, I've been saying that for 10 years.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'll dive into it. And if it's worth rebuting, I will do it.
Yeah, I did watch it in passing. Someone sent it to me on my phone, and what he was saying, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I saw, a little bit of ignorance there, but at the same time, it looked like he had the right kind of message. I will have to watch it again to really stand by those words.
Okay, cool. Balder 1209, longtime follower. I noticed you addressed traditional Chinese medicine and the cruelties that come along with it. Bile Bear Farms or the hunting of endangered species. Please address this topic.
Never addressed it. I have on my channel.
So did I. What do
Yeah.
you think? I went to the jungles of Hong Kong and literally got attacked by monkeys while talking about this exact thing.
I have a couple of videos, and I think one of them is It's Time to Call Out China's BS.
Yeah.
I think is one of it that it's called. And I talk specifically about how it's affected Africa. The extinction of the rhinos, the near extinction of the rhinos and elephants being hunted for their ivory and stuff, and pangolins is all linked to traditional Chinese medicine. And that is where the demand comes from. There aren't like random people around the world saying, hey, I think a pangolin scale will look good on my shelf.
No.
It's because traditional Chinese medicine needs pangolin scales and they don't need it, they made it all up, need rhino horns and whatever else. And so they pay these syndicates to go and smuggle, and because the demand is there, and they pay huge amounts of money. Obviously, poachers are going to go out, kill a rhino for its horn, send the horn over to Asia where it gets sold. Because don't forget, traditional Chinese medicine's not only in China, it's all surrounding Asian countries that have got some kind of Chinese influence also follow
Vietnam.
So you'll find it in Vietnam, Singapore,
South Korea.
Hong Kong, all over. You'll find a demand for that kind of stuff, and it's the traditional Chinese medicine that is driving the extinction of many, many species, and I've spoken about that very vocally. So
have I. I have 2 videos on TCM. So anyway, not being mean, just you haven't checked. We've talked about it at length.
Sure.
Kirsten Brownrake discovered you two loves 2 months ago. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Canadian Greg, this week has been great for the plight of Chinese and North Korean people. Certainly all the Americans signaling to hashtag Stop Asian Hate who are donating big money to organizations against the CCP and DPRK. And that is correct.
Yeah.
Let us bring Stop Asian Hate into the sphere of actually stopping Asian hate across the board.
Yeah.
North Korean regimes and Chinese regimes certainly play into that very well.
The most hateful towards Asians is the CCP. Again, if you were to have lived there and you understand the rhetoric towards other Asian countries from within China, you would see just how much hate there is towards Japan, again, Korea. I'm just saying this again, India. It's just mind-boggling. If you come from any kind of PC culture, you go to China, you wake up very quickly. You wake up from your little dream about political correctness because it doesn't exist in China.
Mafsiata, how much of your society commentary applies to Taiwan? Very little.
Yeah.
culturally, yes, but very little. The bystander syndrome doesn't happen in Taiwan. People will help you.
Yeah. People are
Strangers
friendly.
will help you. Yeah. Very
in a
friendly,
different way.
generous and charitable.
Yeah, charitable. China's the least charitable country in the world for
Per
a
capita,
reason.
yeah.
I mean, per capita. You have to understand that they went through all this famine and
Sure,
all
and
the
yeah,
purges
we know
and all
why
the
it happened.
bullshit of the past, so it's been washed out of their system.
But it's reality.
But and also the way animals are treated and stuff. Remember,
Yeah.
we're in Taiwan. We're in a night market.
Oh yeah.
And, it's kind of hot and humid out, so they've got their dog in like a trolley with fans.
Dude, the animal
blowing-
cruelty laws in Taiwan are insane. They're
exactly.
much harsher than the U.S.
And they're like cooling their dog with
Yeah,
fans
they're cooling
and
their
stuff.
dogs.
And I'm like, this is nice. And
We're like-
in China, you'll see them heating the dog up with a blowtorch. You know what I
on
mean?
the side of the road. And
Yeah.
that is not a racist thing.
No, it actually happens.
We've seen people using blowtorches on dogs
Yeah,
in China.
live dogs.
Unfortunately, it's horrific.
It is horrific.
I
so.
don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's different. Taiwanese culture is what Chinese culture used to be, and so when you look at Taiwan, you can see the hope that there is for Chinese society because it exists. Chinese society can be like Taiwan, and I really hope that they do become like Taiwan because there's nothing wrong with being more compassionate. There's nothing wrong with being more sensitive and more kind. There's nothing wrong with that. It's something to aspire to, not something to shun.
Right.
So I hope that it turns out that way.
Excuse me. Simon McPhail, thank you. Yumi. Today's my favorite day because you guys have a good weekend. Maybe a bit early for you guys, but it's Friday here. Awesome.
Have a happy Friday, mate.
And let's move on to our...
let's get on to worldview. Sorry, guys. We talk about everything in the world, but specifically to do with China. We're getting a bit carried away here,
I know, we've been going long these days. I'd like to get it back to normal length.
Yeah, so we apologize if we've been a bit tangentialized on this one, going off on tangents. Okay. China lashes out at US over tighter Huawei restrictions. I was going to say us, because it's pretty much the rest of the world, really. It's us versus them with China, which is ridiculous.
Right.
It really is.
It's you mean they've made it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
I was going to say.
Why, anyone outside country.
Right. So this is kind of funny. They are really angry at the current administration in the U.S. because there's new Huawei bans that they thought were going to go away.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious, salt in the wound. Huawei is a national security threat. It just is.
Yeah.
And you can't let a country that has a full-on surveillance state be part of your country's network system.
Huawei listens to what the CCP says. It's at their beck and call.
Yes.
If the CCP says install spyware in that router as you guys call it, they will do it. If Huawei says we need the personal information from all of the devices that you have that are registered in the US, they must do it. They cannot say no. And that's the difference. People have to understand that Huawei is beholden to the CCP.
So what I want to show you guys is why this is funny is that if you go to the next slide, here's some previous articles. This is Huawei to survive under US pressure. They consistently kept putting out these articles about how actually in the end the sanctions aren't going to mean anything.
Yeah.
The bans aren't going to mean anything because Huawei is such a powerful brand that they can surpass all of that stuff. So we're not even worried about that. You can go to the next one. And it's like, oh, they get ready for their biggest counterattack. Here we go. We're such a good brand that we're not even going to have to worry about this, right?
Yeah,
US pressure, get out of here.
Yeah, that's talking about Huawei. What else?
China won't passively watch UK's Huawei ban.
Yeah.
Well, and then go back to the first one. We have...
The first one.
The first one, we have them crying
Yeah.
about, oh, please don't ban us. We're
Like any bully, they will bluster and thump their chest until finally they actually get a punch on the nose, and then they'll cry. And that's how the CCP operates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last thing related to that, actually, if you go to the next slide.
Over here.
Princess Meng Wanzhou, she is the one that is currently on trial in Canada. She was the CFO of Huawei. She got charged with all kinds of dastardly things that she did, like dealings with Iran, even though there are sanctions.
tricking the banks in Hong Kong.
She is very much, from what we've seen so far, guilty, but she still has to go through the legal system.
Yeah,
which
guilty
is
until proven innocent. Sorry, the other way around.
other way around. Yeah.
No,
So-
in China, you're guilty until proven
That's
innocent.
absolutely correct. So in this scenario, we have her lawyer who is now claiming that she was unjustly arrested. So the protocol that the police went through when they arrested her wasn't just so that they could potentially get the court case thrown out
Sure.
on a technicality. Meanwhile, she's living in her house, by the way, in a mansion.
Multiple.
Multiple.
She can stay in different ones.
Right. She's going through a very lengthy court case. However, it's a very, very much not very stressful scenario when you get to live in your own homes.
No, it's kind of, and she can go out shopping and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, she can
just
still
has
have an ankle
wear
bracelet.
an ankle bracelet, and she has to have like security guys with her. Dude,
Right.
it's like, imagine that. Like, oh man, I'm in trouble now. I get to sit at home and watch TV or do what I do at home. Oh, I feel like going out to the bar or something. Okay, come on, security guys, let's go. Follow me. And
Right.
go and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You're not actually restricted.
No.
You're just not allowed to leave the country.
Meanwhile, if you go to the next slide, our friend Michael is going to court in China. Finally, after 2 years, both the Michaels are going to court.
But it's time sensitive.
It is time sensitive.
They're going to court only because there's been a development in the Huawei Meng case. Like,
Correct.
just because it's about to be decided.
Sure.
See how they do this?
Yeah.
They put pressure every
They
time.
were arrested right after she got arrested.
Obviously, it's a retaliation thing.
Yeah.
But every time there's going to be another development in the Huawei Meng princess bullshit case, every single time they parade these guys around and they do something. They do something to remind Canada that, hey,
Your
whatever
citizens are here.
what you do next with this Meng thing is going to reflect on these guys. So do the right thing for us. In other words, let her go. And we might think about not putting them in a camp for the rest of their lives.
So China's saying that one of these Michaels, and we don't want to tell you which one's our friend just because we don't like to make the distinction for their safety.
Also, yeah, for their safety. And from the get-go, we haven't mentioned which of these two is a personal friend and acquaintance of ours. One of them is. But anyway, continue what you're saying.
So one of them is being tried. Well, they're both being tried with espionage and being spies, right? And one of them is being tried with giving the other Michael evidence of intelligence from China. There's no real evidence that they even know each other, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, long story short, they are going to go on trial. And, with a 99.9% conviction rate, when we see news like this, it makes us feel ill. I don't want to see our friend suffering in prison anymore anyway at the same time. But at the same time, any development in this makes me feel ill because we know what the consequences are at the end of the day.
It's very unlikely that, especially if the things don't go according to what they want with the Meng Huawei nonsense, definitely, if it doesn't go the way they want it, it's going to be terrible for these two guys. Even if it does go the way they want it and Meng gets set free, these two guys aren't going to be let off the hook all of a sudden.
No.
It's too late now. And I just want to reiterate to all of you guys out there who might be a little bit on the fence about C-Milk and myself. And you guys might be like, these guys overblow things, they're just too negative, they're too biased. That could have been us. Mm-hmm. Okay?
And when you say could have, it's not like, that could have been me.
No. There was a campaign for about, I'd say 2 years before I left China. It started small and it gained a lot of steam where people were reporting me as a spy to the Chinese government.
Us.
Yeah.
We got one on camera.
Yeah, that's true. Calling in the police. But the reason I said me is because I saw the actual reports and all that kind of stuff through that thread where people were sharing the screenshots of where they've gone to. There's a national website where you can report espionage, especially foreigners. Whatever it is, 123326.com or whatever the crap. It's always a number.
Non-secure website.
And they show the screenshots of people reporting me, my full name, my address, not my exact address because they never found out. I was too smart about that. But they more or less where I lived, the district that I lived. This foreigner lives in this district. This is his YouTube channel. This is this and this and this. This is his full name. This is his wife's name. He is a spy. Literally a campaign to report me as a spy. I know people that were phoning the Public Security Bureau in Shenzhen, where I lived, to report me as a spy.
We found a guy on YouTube that called the Public Security Bureau in Huizhou to report me as a spy and then broadcast himself live doing it on YouTube.
Yeah. So when you've got people that are so motivated to take down people like myself and C-Milk, put us in jail, get us deported, that was their end goal, was to get us in jail, deported, silence us by reporting us as a spy. When we say that this could have been us, either one of these two.
We would have been the poster children for that.
Absolutely. Because the threat was there. And that's one of the reasons why we left, obviously, is because we didn't want to end up like the two Michaels. And then that was the big thing for me, is when my friend and acquaintance, Michael, got taken in on this whole thing. And it's just because of his nationality.
Right after we just filmed with him.
Yeah. I realized at that point that it was too dangerous for what I do. I was too high profile. And you don't need to be big to be high profile in China.
No.
If you have a pikey little YouTube channel like I do, you know, talking about China and talking about the things, the kind of aggression that I drew to myself from all these nationalists reporting me as a spy and stuff, it made me realize that if he can go for something, and I can tell you right now that he's not a spy, you know, either he's a very good spy and doesn't let other people know that, but, you know, I could tell you from my interactions with him that he's not an espionage spy or anything like that. He's just a normal dude who enjoys a good beer, who enjoys to, you know, was enjoying himself in China. He loved China. He loved everything about what he was doing. If he can get taken up, so can I, so can he. It's anyone that's inconvenient to the Chinese government.
Yes.
They will grab up and put away. And so that's why we do what we do, because we know how serious this shit is. It's as serious as cancer.
It's not a joke.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
But we have some
our
questions, so I just
Q&A,
get into
guys.
those real quick.
This is where, you know, we answer your questions and you question our answers. But this time we get to do it in a better audio with our new microphones. I hope you've noticed the difference.
I heard a lot of people were very much enjoying our audio quality.
Especially when I talk like this.
Don't do that. It's creepy.
Cesario JPN says, that's an idea for Worthless Whips. Can we turn this decrepit camper van into a luxury home for on the cheap? This is inspired by Chloé Zhao's film.
Right.
Haley, correction.
I like that idea, by the way. I like the idea of doing
he does like that.
I love the idea of doing like a camping thing in an RV or whatever, going around. I love that whole like self-sustaining thing. I just don't want to watch a middle-aged woman go through a crisis in a van.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not my thing.
That's okay. What the heck is going on here? Okay, sorry. Haley says, correction earlier, I meant pro-Asian movement. I get you. Canadian Greg, what's the right email to reach out to you guys and get you guys a guest on a big show? That's business@advchina.net. And I already posted it to you in here, so you should have seen that.
Cool.
Your doppelganger, looking forward to your trip to Japan. Have you looked into the privacy laws in regards to filming and photography? Oh, we didn't have any issues there last time, but we're not assholes about it.
No, you know, I'm a friend with Tikyo Sam, and he got into some trouble because he put a GoPro on a sushi roundabout thing.
That's right.
That's because it went mega viral, and of course the people that were at that sushi restaurant obviously weren't too happy about it.
Sure.
When you're filming, you just kind of have to be respectful, and if people seem like they don't want to be filmed, you absolutely don't film them.
No, I would never do that.
You know, if anyone ever asks you to stop filming or delete the stuff, do that, you know. But when you're just taking public B-roll in the street, you're actually legally allowed to do that because it's in public. And if you're going to go walk out in public, that's life, you know. You're going to be on a surveillance camera. You're going to be out there. You can't not be there.
So it's similar to the U.S. then.
But, yeah, if you're going to go focus on a person, you say, ooh, there's a pretty girl. And that's like disgustingly pervy, weird stuff, you know. That's probably not the best thing to do.
Sure. Kyo Young Kim, any thoughts on Beijing's lax attitude as a member of the UN Security Council and alleged involvement in Burma situation? Well,
they shouldn't be a part of the UN Security Council.
Very well
That's
said.
my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and that's why they've vetoed all this stuff.
Yeah.
They want the oil pipeline in the river in Burma. Songor Griff, Pooh Man Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Dog Life 4444. Why do you gotta have that number? Why? What are your wives' thoughts on the growing attacks against Asian Americans, especially with recent shooting spree targeting 3 massage parlors? I'm assuming you posted that before we talked about the topic.
They're realistic like everyone else that's living here. Is they know that they're safe. It's totally fine. The kind of places we go to the park and stuff is totally okay.
Obviously, the uptick is conversation, but it's not, you know, you know what I mean. Planet Earth, thank you. Toasty, Stimmy Money. I'm still a cheapskate, though. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Simon McPhail, love your videos. Had a year abroad in Taiwan last year and love to continue to watch and learn about the CCP and Chinese Taiwanese culture.
Awesome
Stuff. Miles Dolding, insert generic comments regarding Tim Pool. He acknowledged us. The war is over, guys. Unfortunately, I wanted the war to continue so you get more super chats, but The Tim Pool War is over. I've reached out, and then he acknowledged that after we're vaccinated that we'll go on a show.
Yeah, we're going to go on a show once we get vaccinated. So it'll happen, guys.
Yep. JP says, what is your way of dealing with racist encounters? Do you confront the racist or just move on? It's best to ignore it, really.
Yeah, honestly, that's the whole thing about confrontation is somebody who's going to be making a racial slur or something, they want a confrontation.
Yeah.
It's just like anyone who's trying to be aggressive towards you. If you ignore them, two things can happen. Normally, if you ignore someone too much, they might get more pissed off that you're ignoring them. But when it comes to someone like shouting out a racial slur or something to you, the best thing to do is to just kind of remove yourself from the situation.
If somebody's going to be an asshole to that level, then they might be an asshole.
If they're going to shout to you, hey, cracker or something, and you say, yeah, what's up? You know, you go up to them, they're going to continue. It's going to escalate into something else. They want that to escalate, yeah. It's like, hey, white bread, Sandman. That's what they used to call us in South Africa, white guys. Okay. Sandman. I always thought that, like, if you're going to come up with an insult, I mean, you know, it's like, yeah. But if someone comes up and does a racial thing towards you, what can you do? Get out of the situation. Yeah, don't let it escalate.
No. Gary McBrien. Winnie Lee, thank you. Retrig202, just want to thank you guys for all you do. Stay awesome.
Thank you.
Balder1209 says, sad you guys ignored my super chat regarding traditional Chinese medicine.
Pretty sure we didn't.
What are you talking about, bro?
Oh, just because it was much earlier. You probably
we definitely didn't ignore. We talked about it at length.
Yeah.
K Booty, stay awesome, guys. Don't let anyone shut you up. Thank you. Andrew Cooper, hey guys, been watching you both for years. Winston, you were the first YouTuber who ever replied to a YouTube comment I loved. Cool. It was very cool of you. What is both of your favorite cities in the world, I guess?
Mine would be Tokyo.
I would say mine is a tie between New York City and Tokyo. I like both.
Yeah.
Grant, my grandparents were put in internment camps in America. This has nothing to do with white people. The hate comes from a subgroup who blames others for their failings. Similar issue with Jews in New York City.
Absolutely, dude. That's correct. Anyway, this whole race thing is blown out of proportion in the worst ways, and it's creating more of a monster out of it that needs to be. It's bad people doing bad actions, and those bad people need to be stopped. That's, how it goes.
JP, Atlanta Police Department making no big deal and basing the suspect's motive as having a bad day proves that they're advocates of only Black Lives Matter. I guess so. Is that what they're saying right now? We'll probably see more when there's a court case, obviously. We'll find out.
More will come out, but this is what we know right now from the news is the guy was just a bloody psychopath with a sex addiction trying to destroy the porn industry and sex workers.
Sure. Fireheart says, do you believe in the right to bear arms? I do, in my own country at least.
You got like these furry arms. Look like a bear, some claws in it. I get the right.
Lack of tan up there. These guns, I got these guns over here. 2 tickets to the gun show. You're like that, huh? Asian crimes are just a media campaign to rile up Asian community. Their attacks are mostly random street crime. Doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a dialogue about it, though.
Yeah. Any kind of crime is bad, like any kind of street crime. Shouldn't be attacking anyone, especially the attacks against the elderly people really piss me off.
That's effed up,
because you see the footage. It's like some kid will run up and push him over or something, and it's like, dude, you don't do that. You don't pick on anyone, but an elderly person or a child or whatever. People, don't attack vulnerable people. There's like people like that. Luckily, they're getting caught.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about it.
Have you noticed that there's trials and actual
repercussions?
Yeah, and that's why I can't wait for this stuff to develop more. We can see like I said, my whole thing is I want to know the motivation. So I want these trials to come full circle so we can see exactly why each person was attacked. Because right now, it's kind of like up in the air. Oh, they're being attacked because of, COVID. They're being attacked because of this. We don't know yet. I can't wait to see what the motivation is. Because once we see the motivation, we can go to the root of the problem and try to address it properly.
Yes, exactly. I just was laughing because somebody said I hate sand after you said sand because the Star Wars quote. It's coarse and irritating. It's everywhere. Yeah. Rob Summers, here's my first ever super chat because I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
Since you've talked about the CCP targeting their enemy's family, are you concerned about your Chinese family traveling to China to visit relatives?
Yes, of course.
Of course, absolutely.
That's the problem when you're dealing with a mafia organization like the CCP. They target family. And so that's why it's terrible. You realize that, especially what we do, puts our family at risk, but we can't allow that to stop us and silence us because then they win. And at the same time, it's a very quick balance. I mean, that's why you've probably noticed my wife doesn't appear in my videos anymore. She doesn't make her own videos anymore. The attacks were just getting too much.
Sure.
So just divorcing them, and I don't mean like divorcing them, don't get me wrong.
We don't need to bring more attention to this.
Yeah, I'm just saying divorcing them from
Sure.
what we do is
Correct.
the best thing to do. They've got nothing to do with
They
us.
have nothing to do with what we do.
And that's that, yeah.
Although they may or may not agree with this. Dennis Stafford, thank you. Case closed 93. In the 60s, U.S. hippies loved Mao in China. I mean, yeah, some of them did, didn't they? That's hilarious.
They
That was at
probably
the-
didn't know what was
Yeah, I
going
mean, like
on.
back then.
Yeah, what are you going to
shit.
know, dude?
Watch the trial of Chicago 7. A character spouts cultural revolution. It's really nothing. New tankyism.
Yeah, tankyism's been around for a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just
a
people
new
that are
brand, though.
bored and spoiled with their
Sure.
life, and they just think
They
that
love
there's-
hate too.
Yeah, they just think that
I do
there's
think it's a
something
sexual
better.
thing. It's a sexual motive. I know a sexual psychologist. We actually
Yeah.
spoke to him.
yeah?
We were on his podcast, remember?
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah,
I would be curious as to what he thinks about that. I think
Yeah.
there might be a sexual nature to it.
maybe.
Massive fins. The Atlanta attack brought up the Asian fetishizing and how people think Asian women are weak and submissive. That's the racial aspect. And yes, and that's something you can talk about. But you can't make fake shit up and then say don't talk about the CCP anymore, because that's
Sure.
what we've seen that Tanky's doing and the media
Yeah.
running with. That's what our point is.
Yeah.
Yes, have that conversation. It's separate from the Chinese government.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to ask yourself, why is it that you are fetishizing Asian women? Because if that's what you believe is really going on, that's something you have to address yourself. You know?
Sure. I don't think he is. in
But
this
I'm just
case.
saying,
Yeah.
like, you know,
if you are watching this and you are fetishizing
like when
Asian
people
women,
project, you know?
right? Why are you doing that? Is it
Yeah.
because you yourself wasn't popular growing up? You were maybe picked on, so you need a submissive person that you've
Yeah.
created in your mind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We've dealt with this in the past with
Yeah.
people, right?
If you think that our wives are submissive in any way, shape, or form, you've got another thing coming.
Yeah,
Chinese
shit.
women are some of the most
Fierce.
like fierce and brutal in the home. Trust me, they want to rule the roost, and you hear about it and you feel it.
Right. That's not bullshit either.
No,
That's
no.
that's a thing.
Mhm.
Or just how about date someone that you find to be your equal, like
Absolutely.
you fall in love
Doesn't
with.
matter who they are,
It doesn't
what
matter
race
what
they
race
are.
it is.
Yeah.
Paulo, yep, thank you. B2A5, CCP is of course super racist. They're pro Han and oppressing 56 other minorities. They've
Yep.
been doing that from the beginning. This is what we keep trying to say.
Correct.
And this is not a case of, well, they do it worse. No, it's a separate issue. Right?
It's just when they try to use
you can't
this,
use that. You've lost that card.
It's like it's like the head of the Ku Klux Klan calling someone racist, and you're like,
Right.
dude, come on.
What are
Like,
you talking
just
about?
shut up. You
Right.
can't talk on that.
No.
And that's what
You've
we're trying
lost
to
that
say
privilege.
here. Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Now go sit in a corner.
Yeah. Wear your dunce cap because they have them anyway. You know what I mean?
They do. In the Cultural Revolution, they used to force people to wear dunce
Wear dunce
caps.
caps. Yeah.
Anyway, Chris Choi, more worried about my half Chinese, half white daughter not getting into Harvard than getting hit on the street.
I'm pretty sure they'll get into Harvard if they work well,
If they work hard.
Yeah.
Saptarshi Sengupta, do you think CCP has permanently damaged people to the people level relations between China and other countries by making it a race issue? Has hope for intermixing with Chinese people been extinguished? No, I mean you can't do that. That is the wrong attitude to have.
Yeah.
The idea is not that you're going to change Chinese society overnight, but it's that you can have person-to-person relationships, and hopefully that can splinter into something more human. Because China doesn't want you to think that Chinese people are human. They actually don't want you to think that. The CCP doesn't want you to humanize Chinese people, because then that their narrative of being a part of the global interconnected family doesn't work.
They want Chinese people to think they're special and above all that.
Sure.
Also this Peking man stuff and all
Right.
that nonsense we
You
spoke
see,
about
I mean, it's
before.
just reeks of actual racism.
Yeah.
Dog Life 4444. He was having a bad day, and this is what he did on Jay Baker's Facebook, marketing his own T-shirt with COVID-19 imported.
He's talking
virus
about
from
the
China.
cop that said that he's having a bad day.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a thing. It's not like that changes anything about what the guy did. It doesn't change the facts of the situation. It's this nonsense where people try to equivalate things with other things which doesn't make sense and they don't add up. We're dealing with a psychopath who killed people, okay? A murderer. He needs to get his justice. He will get justice.
And we need to find the motivation
What
as well.
What about the cop said something about him having a bad day, and the cop had has some T-shirt that's racist or something? What the hell does that actually have to do with this guy killing a bunch of people? You know, it's this diversion, guys. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Isn't this terrible? Like, you know, Stop moving your focus away from the real issue here. And the real issue is that we got a psychopath, okay? And if you want to talk about Asian race-related crimes and stuff, we focus on that. We talk about that. It doesn't help to keep trying to pluck little things here and there and try to build a puzzle out of pieces that don't fit together, you know? Linda
Hunter, hello, fellows. Big love for your awesome work. With a lot of cool emojis. Thank you, Linda. It's always nice to see you. Kei Tseng, always miss you guys due to time zones. What's a JST? Is that Japanese Standard Time?
Probably.
Yeah, probably because it's yen.
Yeah, cool.
But love the content. Appreciate you guys spreading awareness. Headed to bed, but I'll watch in the morning. Thank you
very much. Appreciate it.
Arigato gozaimasu. William Johnston.
You butchered that so bad. Just saying. Anyway, let's continue.
You want to have language competitions?
No. You'd beat my ass in Chinese anyway.
I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah.
William
it's
Johnston.
Pretty evident.
Someone was calling you out before saying I think it was like one of those weebs that like speaks really good Japanese, and they were like, I have only heard him say like basic phrases. Let's hear him see real, and then they got blocked.
That's funny.
William Johnson, China's economy will collapse in the next 50 years due to demographic collapse. Increased productivity will not be able to make up the difference. There's some truth to that. J-Man Nice Guy 1492, Guanxi Corner.
Okay.
You made your own Guanxi Corner.
All right.
Help, I'm a 27-year-old male dating a 30-year-old Chinese woman.
Let's hit that Guanxi Corner. Okay.
Oh, might as well, yeah. That's a good idea. With Canadian permanent residence. I love her and we get along, and she hates the CCP, but she won't make up her mind about where to live and is anxious. Is this common?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, with anyone, really.
Yeah.
You're telling someone to uproot their life. I get it.
It is, in my experience anyway, a lot of my subscribers who have married Chinese women or Chinese men, and they bring them over to the States or whatever, after a short while, the wife usually tries to convince them to go back to China. Have you noticed that? There's a big push for that because that's what they're familiar with, and they have all their guanxi there and all that.
Happens.
So the kind of people I'm talking about, I do have a lot of experience with this. It's usually some guy later on in life in his 50s, maybe late 40s, 50s. And again, also the woman's in that range as well. So she's either divorced or her husband died or whatever the case. So she's looking for a husband and she wants a husband. And in China, when you are in your 40s especially, it's nigh on impossible to get married again. That's the thing. The standards for getting married in China are very high. And I should say they're very misogynistic and all that kind of thing. When it comes to getting married in China, you will not marry a woman who's been divorced, or somebody who has kids or that kind of thing. So that's why you find a lot of what they call leftover women. That's not some phrase that I made up or we made up. That's what Chinese people call them in China. And those women can't find local husbands. It's just impossible for them to do that. So they start to search abroad and they'll find a foreign husband, because most foreigners don't care. Okay, I'm not going to say all foreigners, but most foreigners, especially if they also have their own kids, they're also divorced or whatever, they understand that, and as long as they fall in love or whatever, they don't mind. So they will get married to these women, and the women will come over for a while, but the fact is they only really wanted to marry the guy, not for a green card or for whatever. Some of them do, but the main point is they want support. They want a husband. They want to have a family. So now they have that, but they kind of want that in China, but they couldn't find it from a Chinese man. So they try to import the foreigner into China. I've just seen that happen a lot.
Sure.
I'd say like the majority of these relationships of these people I know, my subscribers, the
older people.
Yeah, I'm talking about the older generation. The older generation are always trying to drag the husband back to China, and it never works out.
Sure, that's true.
It never does.
Koala 1203. The horrific attack happened near currently where I currently live. Anyway, stay safe too, you mates.
Yeah.
Thank you. P-Dog says the tankies can't take on Winston and Seamilk, so they have to go after their women and children.
Yep.
The CCP's masculinity curriculum ain't very effective.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah.
Any attack on children and wives and stuff is just cowardly and,
Thank you, Lindsay Reed. 11, if you talk in normal English/Chinese dialect during game streams, I'll watch every second. Cool.
Sounds good.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
Living happily in China. How possible, in your opinion, is for students studying in China who are currently home to go back to China this September? I'm sorry, we just can't reliably answer these questions. No. They're just up in the air.
Yeah, I hear China's trying to force people into taking the Chinese vaccine.
I got some information about that, and
Yeah.
I'm talking to someone about it. We'll bring it into the next podcast.
Yeah, it'll be. We'll talk about that next time.
David Pay, just because you will get demonetized. Cheers.
Thank you.
It's actually not been too bad these days. Thank you very much.
We
like to be
really
upfront about
appreciate
it. We haven't had a problem with demonetization recently.
Yeah, in the last month or so.
Pretty recently, yes, but in the last month we've been pretty good. So it's been a lucky month.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you. Wing083. If you guys get PS5s, yeah, right. When?
The scalpers need to piss off.
Yeah, can they piss off?
Yeah.
If you guys get PS5s at some point, will you guys play Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade?
Whatever that is.
I don't know what the Intergrade is, but we played the shit out of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it was freaking awesome.
It was good.
I loved it. David Pay, I'm waiting for the next chapter. I'd love to treat you both to bear and hot pot. Well, is the bear in the hot pot?
No, we understand beer and hot pot.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I have had bear meat though.
Yeah.
It's not
Have you?
good.
Oh, okay.
Of course,
I haven't had
it's
bear
fully
meat.
legal here.
Yeah. No,
I remember our producers we were talking about bear meat because they had bear meat in China, which is very bad, by the way. That's where you don't eat bear meat because it's endangered.
Super endangered. Yeah.
But they're like spazzing out, like, how dare you eat a bear? It's like, dude, there's bears everywhere here.
Well, they are British.
Like a
they grew up
pest.
with like Paddington Bear and
True.
You know.
That's what they're thinking about me jumping on
Yeah.
Paddington Bear.
poor old Paddington. What was that other bear? You know, that very, very badly drawn one's got like a long snout. What's that one? Rupert the bear?
Rupert.
Yeah, Rupert the bear.
I was eating Rupert.
Yeah, don't do that.
No. Riordan McWilliam, thank you. Canadian Greg would love you guys to cover which country in Asia has foreigner real estate freehold, how to immigrate to XYZ Asian country and others. I don't think I can speak in authority about any of that.
Yeah, definitely
other
not
than China. Just China is the only one I could talk about, though.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, if we learn more. I don't know
There we
why
go,
I
Mug.
always just do that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mug, I farted, I shitted.
Okay, good for
thank
you, mate.
Clarky, keep up the great work, guys. Would love to see in the future video of how CCP can genuinely improve or coexist harmoniously at the global stage.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
That's something that remains to be seen. But a lot of the criticism that comes
I'll
our
write that
way is that it's like, oh, you guys only talk bad things. You don't offer any like
Western laws.
Yeah.
Western laws about China.
You don't offer any solutions. Well, guess what? We do. And the solution is stop doing this crap stuff, CCP, and be good like other people. Treat people properly. We have
Golden
to talk
rule.
about the problems.
Of course.
Okay? Once you identify an issue, it can then be resolved. If you don't talk about the issue, it doesn't get resolved.
Hold on, who am I?
Western media lies about China. Someone give me my adrenaline shot.
So,
Okay. Sorry, my eyes are green, not black.
you actually have pupils.
Sorry, I have a soul.
Yeah.
So anyway, actually, that's a good video idea though, because we can actually pinpoint exact things. That,
Yeah,
you know,
we
in
have a
dream
lot
world.
of solutions.
Shitty O. Thank you.
Like be transparent.
Sure. AJ, I love the podcast, gents. Keep it up.
Absolutely will.
Derattend M16 did not collect human with European spies. Lol. What?
Okay, mate.
What? I just don't know what that means.
Appreciate the super chat though.
Yeah. Mao de Mighty for Prime Minister of Canada. You guys been following a while back. Remembers
Love you guys.
Oh, sorry. Love you guys. Been following for a while back. My remembers from Zhonghua. Also, the CCP sucks. Fang Pi, I guess you meant.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
They suck farts. Apparently.
Okay.
That's what you wread.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider, Scott Barker says, would you ever consider moving to Taiwan? Yes,
absolutely.
However, my family is here. But we will in the future spend more time in Taiwan.
Yeah,
Maybe part-time.
I would absolutely move to Taiwan. I love Taiwan.
Sure.
It's fantastic. I love the States. I prefer that being able to live in the States because of my car hobby and stuff and the car culture. But Taiwan is my favorite place in Asia. If I was going to choose a place to move and live
easily
in Asia, it would be Taiwan, hands down.
David Pay, teachers in California can get vaccinated right now. Yeah, actually most places. My parents have been vaccinated for ages now.
Yeah,
they're
that's
teachers.
Cool. Yeah. What if we said, "Oh, we're just English teachers"? Do you think they would give us vaccines?
Well, I see your joke. We can actually get vaccinated now too.
Okay.
But we have to say that we're in like a dire circumstance, so we're waiting. We're not going to take someone else's vaccine.
No, there are other people who need it more than us.
We'll get it as soon as we're allowed to morally.
Yes.
Kyo Young Kim, seriously, if you're going to attack someone, at least target someone bigger than you. Agreed. Wu Mao Troll, Chinese nationalist number 1. Xi Jinping is a strong, intelligent leader. Even you cannot deny this. An army of sheep led by a lion. Thank you, Wu Mao Troll. You're always spot on with your with your assumptions. CSP, And what do you see next for Hong Kong? It's gone.
Yeah.
It'll be just a short amount of time before there's no border there anymore. Do you think the CCP might impose martial law if another protest culminates in the public eye? Yes, I think that is the next step. Do you think we'll see an Hong Kong independence in our lifetime? No, absolutely not. Sorry, I just have friends there. Much love. There's no hope. What you can do is look at the example that the Hong Kong protesters have made and make sure that doesn't happen elsewhere in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And as much as it breaks our heart about Hong Kong's not going to win this.
No.
A lot of people are like, when is the CCP going to fall? Tomorrow? No.
No.
It's a lost battle, guys. The CCP is winning many things, right? But it doesn't mean that you give up. It means that you don't allow that to continue
But they've
to
played
spread.
their hand and they've showed
Right.
the rest of the world what they're capable of.
Yes.
And so now, with fresh, open eyes, we can see exactly what they're doing. And Hong Kong is the greatest litmus test. We can look at Hong
canary
Kong
in the coal mine.
and we can say, look, this is what's going to happen elsewhere, like Taiwan or wherever
Correct.
else. And we can learn from it. And all the brave people of Hong Kong that stood up have really made a big difference.
Jan Schifalda
And
says,
continue to.
greetings from Czechia. I can't wait for you to visit my country and enjoy some Czech beer. I heard Sea Milk likes the original Budweiser. Is that true? It's one of my favorite beers, actually, is Budvar, which is the original Budweiser.
Yeah, I remember we had that in China, actually.
We did. Weirdly enough, we found it.
Yeah.
David Pay. Sorry for misspelling. I meant beer. Actually, we bought it here, too.
Yeah, true.
Dog Life 4444.
Okay.
2 Chinese women dragged one over 300 feet and died by a car and hit right next to you guys in Lakewood, California. Please stay safe and be careful. That's terrible.
It's awful. You know, every time I hear about an accident or any kind of accident for anyone, it's awful. You know, whether it's a Chinese woman
and
or
run,
any other woman, it doesn't matter to me. It's awful. Any kind of attack against anyone is awful. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to feel more bad because it was a Chinese person or less bad because it was a Chinese person. I feel bad because it's a person.
Sure.
We've got to stop trying to pigeonhole people into specific areas. This is bad. Any kind of attack's bad. How clearly can we say that? You know?
Yes. Scott Cook says Apple came out with a circular saw. It's an eye saw.
Nice. Okay.
Is that even a joke?
It's a joke. It's a dad joke.
That's like beyond. Anyway, okay. Darratend. I mean, security services don't use white people. And half Monster Man. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And Simon Mayo. That's it.
Thanks, guys. You know, when it comes to talking about race, it's very easy for people to get distracted and worried and be defensive and weird about it. I've grown up my whole life with the race issue being right there in my face and forced upon me whether I liked it or not, just because of the nature of where I grew up. I'm very happy to openly talk about race with anyone. And I'm also very happy to completely dismiss bullshit when it comes to these things. I am not going to apologize for things that I haven't done, and I'm not going to apologize on behalf of people who I don't know. I'm also not going to condone anything against anyone when it comes to race. We're dealing with a situation right now, and it doesn't matter which angle you attack this situation from, but it is a bad situation. A rise in attacks against Asians is not a good thing, and it's something that needs to be stopped. And we're going to try everything in our powers to stop it anyway, as should you. Educate yourself, because it's only through knowledge that you will gain the insight into what's going on. All Asian people aren't Chinese. Okay? If you have an issue with the CCP, doesn't mean you should have an issue with Chinese people, because they're not the same thing. And sure, the CCP is the government of China and it's made up of Chinese people, but they're a completely separate entity to the people of Chinese. They dictate what happens in China, and the people of China don't have a choice. They did not choose their government. And a lot of people are saying, oh, but you get the leaders you deserve. They should stand up. You don't understand the gravity of the situation in China. You cannot stand up because they have indoctrinated the entire nation and they blast their propaganda day in and day out. If one person decides to stand up, there'll be 1,000 people around him that will pull him down before he even says anything, before the government even notices, because they're all afraid of what might happen. The Chinese people are living in a bad situation, and the CCP is a horrible, horrible controlling master. Another thing is that there are a lot of members of the CCP, but that doesn't mean that those people endorse the CCP.
No.
The CCP that we're talking about is the main little controlling central government faction, not somebody who's a a party member, because in China, being a party member is beneficial to what you do, no matter who you are.
It's not. It doesn't mean you're evil.
It doesn't mean
you get
that
ahead in life.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're going to. It's kind of like being part of the Republican Party or the Democrat Party.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that you're the guy signing things off in Parliament just
No.
because you're a registered voter. You have to understand that when we talk about the CCP, we're not talking about Chinese people, okay?
Correct.
And also, all Asian people are not Chinese, for those of you who don't know this. And these attacks against Asian people around America have been such a huge diverse, we've got Thai people that have been attacked, Korean people that have been attacked, Chinese people. It doesn't matter. And it's just abhorrent. Don't attack anyone because of the color of their skin. Don't be a bad person. Anyone who's doing this stuff must be brought to justice. And I can't wait until we see justice served on these people that are behind these attacks.
Amen.
Anyway, thank you for joining us again, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
We can't wait to see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the new microphones.
Yeah, we sure did. They're right in our face.
Yeah, yeah, it is. We're going to try and sort out our lighting and stuff for next time too, so it's a little better. Putting a little bit more effort into, bringing things.
We'll get
to
better
guys.
for you guys.
Yeah, we love you all. You've been fantastic, and thank you for joining us. It's time for us to go. And
See you guys next time.
Stay awesome. I'm not going to. Wow, I'm not going to. Wow, that just cringes me out.
I hope you
hate
guys
days.
enjoy.